Well, it's a great day for baseball here on Flow Sports as the 2026 WCBL season. It is underway here from Athletic Park in Medicine Hat, Alberta. And we get a matchup that the Mavericks saw to finish last season as they face off against the defending champion Regina Red Sox, who have many of the same members that helped claim that title last year, back with them this year. And it should be a fun night here at the ballpark. Temperatures are great so far. There was a chance of rain at one point, but the clouds have kind of cleared up, and that makes for a fun night ahead. My name is Truman Bartman here on Flow Sports, and I will be along with you all season long here on the Mavericks broadcast, and happy to do so. We're going to have fun on this broadcast this year. We're going to make some fun memories. I'm going to get to know you as well as you're going to get to know me through this broadcast, and I hope when you make your stop into Medicine Hat, whether that's visiting a relative or a friend that is on the team, if you do happen to do so, that you will come up here and we'll get to meet and greet and potentially have you on the broadcast. As I mentioned, it's just me this season. So anybody I can get up here who just loves to talk baseball and wants to share their experience with the sport and their connection to the WCBL and our great game, I'm more than here for it. But aside from what is to come, let's focus in on what we have here in front of us. And as I mentioned, that is the Medicine Hat Mavericks and the Regina Red Sox, two teams who have developed a bit of a rivalry over the years, large in part due to that they've played in the postseason a whole bunch. Mentioned the Mavericks last season getting swept by the Regina Red Sox. That's how their season had closed. Regina going on to win the title. But the Red Sox, they've been on the other side of the coin lots when playing Medicine Hat in the postseason. And they know what it's like to go home early. But as I said, this is just the beginning. This is where the story first makes its mark for both of these teams. Pen in hand, we will see where it goes. And that can be said for all teams around the league. Lots of games happening within the WCBL and weather holding up in most areas. So we will have a full slate ahead for you, whether you're tuning in here or tuning in elsewhere or hopping in and out to check out all the action. It's going to be all season long. As I mentioned on Flow Sports, you can follow along on the WCBL website and track on ball clubs as well, our new stats provider this season. Now we will send it down to field level for our national anthem and some introductions before we get set to play ball. And now let's take a look at our starting lineups for tonight's game, starting with the visiting Regina Red Sox and some familiar faces among their lineup. A couple of former WCBL All-Stars in Justin Simard and Brady Bai enter into the lineup once again, but some new faces as well. Mason Cantor at shortstop, Mason Tafoya in center field, Ty Martinez DHing, Rain Kreckelwitz playing in right field, Mateo Pierre behind the dish, and there's depth behind the dish this year for the Red Sox once again, always one of their stronger positions. Will Toger will play first base, and Alex Rue will be out in left field. That's the starting look for the Red Sox, and let's see who's starting on the mound tonight for the Medicine Hat Mavericks, and it's a new face, Derek Archer, making his WCBL debut, but Archer, familiar with the game of baseball, of course. He's a senior at Westminster College. This is his last ride in baseball, and he's looking to make it a memorable one here up north. The Missouri native with no stats yet this year. That will obviously change after this game. But a unique pitcher featuring a three-pitch mix for the most part does Archer. And we will see what he offers up this Regina lineup today, which, as I mentioned before, loaded with names you've seen before within this league, and a couple missing from last year's championship team, most notably the likes of Raphael Jackson, who was dominant as a part of that run. And, of course, Jackson Searing in years past has been a mainstay for Regina, a two-time All-Star in his own right. So a bit of a new look for Rai Pothakis as far as his players go, but lots of familiarity in the coaching department for Regina. Jackson Alanis, who was at Ottawa University in Kansas this year coaching. He's a former All-Star for the Regina Red Sox during his time playing. Zane Paulin, a former pitcher and All-Star for the Red Sox. He's also helping out as a part of their staff this year. And Braden Cobb, their other coach, is a part of that, a former alumni of the University of Regina. So his Regina roots quite deep. For the Mavericks defensively this year, you're going to get used to seeing a couple of new faces in the outfield. That infield still very much intact from the 2025 season. But a couple of guys switching up positions here, and we'll get to where they stand in the batting order as this game goes along. But it'll be Carter Roth playing third base today, not his usual second. Blake Dale at second base for this game. Johnny Volcano at home at shortstop. He's been there since he started his Mavericks tenure 4 years ago. It's crazy to believe he's now a 5-year veteran in the WCBL. Spent 1 year prior to that with the Lethbridge Bulls. Evan Morrison over at first base, and Thomas Schnabel is in center field with Josh Stark, a 2022 Medicine Hat Maverick, rejoining the team in the outfield, and Carson Chan out of the University of the Fraser Valley out in that department as well. First pitch fouled off here. Archer will deal again, and he'll miss. It'll be a 1-1 count. Just wanted to make a public note. If you see a score bug on your screen, that's a positive sign. The only negative is that the count will not be updated until we get a ball club's one that does it automatically. The outs will still remain the same. The innings will. And the runs will keep updating, but that count will remain at 0-0. I'll try and keep you updated as best as I can up here. Archer, that one going to be fouled off as he evens up the count at 2 apiece. Derek Archer, not one to fly up to Medicine Hat. He decided to hit the road himself in his car and drive up this way. And a lot of the common complaints from many drivers moving from the U.S. up here to Canada was that Montana is not an appealing place to drive through. This one's going to roll over to Blake Dale, and that is the first out of the 2026 Mavs season, and it's Blake Dale to Evan Morrison, something we saw a lot of a year ago. And a guy we have seen a whole bunch of during his WCBL career, Justin Simard, a household name in Regina. As I mentioned off the top, a former All-Star, mainly in the infield, and has made second base his most known place defensively. As he steps in the 2 spot, and he plants the first hit of the season for the Red Sox. right down Main Street, and a runner on for Regina here in the top of the first. It only took one to get to Archer here for Simard. And that will send up to the plate Mason Tafoya, wearing the number 23. He'll be in center field tonight. Tafoya, right-handed batter, facing the right-handed arm of Derek Archer. Archer's going to start him off with a strike. Now, if you're new to viewing games here in Medicine Hat, you're probably going to notice the berm behind Athletic Park, and it's a beautiful berm that will fill in over the year with green and then fade back into the yellow. There's spots of both right now. And just behind that, the South Saskatchewan River. This one driven out to right field, and the catch is going to be made over in right. And that is Josh Stark, the hometown product, who gets his glove on it. So 2 down here in the top of the first. 1 on still for Regina. And it's Brady By, a breakout season last year. His head coach, Ry Pathakis, was super pleased with how he developed as a hitter. You know, anybody can swing the bat hard. Anybody can hit a ball far. But timing it up right and being selective with your hitting is when you become a really important piece and a dangerous hitter. And that's exactly what Brady By did. A first-time All-Star, a champion last year. He was named the WCBL's playoff MVP. And he also competed in the Home Run Derby. Righty versus lefty matchup here. And here it comes from Archer. That one fouled off, and it'll be an 0-2 count here to Brady By. By, a fan favorite in Regina, a favorite within the clubhouse as well. They were happy to see him come back for another season. And he's not just any player. He's one of the top players in this league. You could say that about just about anybody, but he's proven over his time in this league that not only does he have the consistency, but he has the ability to be a game breaker. And we saw that in the postseason with him at this very park last year. He drove in the runs that put the Regina Red Sox over the top to shock the Mavs in Game 1 of the postseason last year. By going to hold on here. Short lead at first from Justin Simard. Archer, long wait. Here comes the pitch, and it's sent off the side of the mound. Flipped by Johnny Volcano over to Blake Dale, and that does it for our first inning. 1 left on for the Regina Red Sox as the Mavs will swing the bats for the first time in the bottom half of this first. We'll be right back after a short word from IKS Live.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
And before the Mavs make their way to the dish, let's take a look at their starting lineup for tonight, presented by Fortis Alberta. A new name atop the lineup. It is Thomas Schnabel playing center field tonight. Blake Dale will follow him in the 2 spot. Evan Morrison, the local boy, hitting in spot number 3. Cleanup will be Carter Roth, who hit a lot in the 2 spot last year. Carson Chan follows behind in the 5th spot. Johnny Volcano will bat 6th, and he's obviously 6th defensively as well. Eric Calder out of Tabor College, DHing. Jamel Chabot, a familiar face behind the dish, will bat 8th. And Josh Stark, mentioned the local product in right field. He's batting 9th tonight. And pitching-wise, for the Regina Red Sox tonight, it is Aiden Shoemaker, who makes his WCBL debut on the mound. Played at Edgewood this year. Him and Chris Hahn, his teammate with the Red Sox, both a part of that university team. And I talked with Shoemaker before the game. He said he was just trying to dial in. This is his first experience here in the WCBL. And his numbers at college, very impressive. We've seen what Regina's done with pitchers over the years. He has the chance to be the next great one for this Red Sox bunch. Schnabel will lead off, and he'll swing and miss. Schnabel wearing the number 8 this season. In his first year with the Mavs, that number formerly worn by the two-time All-Star and left-handed batter Tyler Venesti, who's graduated on. Venesti, of course, a mainstay in the Mavericks lineup. Your do-it-all third baseman, and of course his time ran out eligibility-wise. So the Mavs moved on in that department. Pitch going to miss there, and favorable count for Schnabel at 2-1. Schumacher into his glove, steps forth, delivers, and another high one to Schnabel, who's got a good eye here early on. Schnabel spent his first collegiate season as a freshman at Abilene Christian, a Division I school. Didn't get into much action. This is his chance to finally get out on the diamond, and he gets hit with a strike there. Full count in the first matchup for Shoemaker. Shoemaker, the kick and the deal, and that one out of the glove of the catcher Mateo Pierre, and that's a free base for Thomas Schnabel, the first base runner of the season for Medicine Hat. And you know that jingle all too well. A little bit of soft sell to reintroduce Blake Dale. His final ride with the Medicine Hat Mavericks this season. He's been here for 3 strong, and he said on his way down to the park today, he was thinking about that this is it, and he just told himself to enjoy it. You only get 2 more months of baseball. Why not just go out and enjoy what's in front of you? As a Schnabel, an aggressive run to second, and he's going to head for third. Schnabel in, standing up, and the Mavs have a base runner threatening here in the bottom of the first. Thomas Schnabel, not much known about him because he didn't have a lot of action this year, but he's already surprising the Red Sox here as he takes a couple of bases and moves closer to home plate. Shoemaker twirling the ball around, and his right hand, Dale waiting for it. Here it comes, and a high pitch to Blake Dale. Unable to find the strike zone here early on is Aiden Shoemaker. Shoemaker collects, sends, and a swing and a miss to Dale as he looks to work his way back in the count. One thing about this athletic park makeup, and talking to Mavs pitcher Caden Shivers, he said, if a ball gets past the catcher, it's almost 2 free bases. As rung up with a strike there is Blake Dale. So you always got to be cautious of the ball getting by, and some of these more defensive athletic catchers can thrive here at Athletic Park, but if you're a little bit too loose down there, something may get by, and it may cause more trouble than at a few of the other parks. Schnabel going to run in, and he's going to get there. So the first run of the game on the board for Medicine Hat. They'll get Blake Dale at first, but he'll get himself an RBI. Mavs up early. And a high five here from Evan Morrison to Blake Dale, and the hometown kid coming up to bat. And you know he's due for a big season. First year was that feeling out stage. Last year he led the league in home runs before he got injured, and then just couldn't get it back together once he got into the playoffs. But now with a fresh start and a very impressive collegiate season at Hastings College and some energy back within his game, Evan Morrison could be one of the more dangerous hitters in this league. Shoemaker, a high pitch to Morrison. He'll take, it's a 1-1 count. Shoemaker trying to work quickly here against Morrison, and Morrison will swing and miss. Not sure if that one would have caught that edge of the plate. Regardless, it's 1-2. Shoemaker stretches in, and he gets Morrison. So the first K of the day for Aiden Shoemaker. And while Shoemaker dances around and Carter Roth gets ready to come up to bat for the Mavericks, should tell you that we got a fun show today. I mentioned that every show is going to be fun this year, but we have 3 separate guests who will make an appearance throughout today's broadcast. James Tubb, who you'll get to hear a lot of throughout the course of the season, writer for the Medicine Hat News, does a great job covering the WCBL. And, of course, our counterpart here in Medicine Hat, the Medicine Hat Tigers. Roth takes strike 1. Ian Wilson, who does tons of work with the WCBL, another famous writer within the league, working a lot with Alberta dugout stories. He's in the building tonight. Usually gets out to 1 or 2 games a year, as Roth will foul that off. He'll be up here for a short chat. And then the newest member of our WCBL family, Noah Rollheiser, who's dealing with corporate partnerships within the league. He's also in town for the game tonight, and we'll get to chat with him about the business side of things in the Western Canadian Baseball League. Roth going to send that one foul. So 3 straight foul balls here for Carter Roth, who had a monstrous season in college at Doane University, batted over 400. And last year, his season was already impressive enough. He was leading the WCBL in batting average for a majority of the year. Named an all-star, was at the festivities in Okotoks, and this one launched over into right center. Roth will turn around second. Ball's going to lay at the base of the wall, and it's a double for Carter Roth. Did you expect anything different in his first at-bat of the season? I'd think not. So a runner in scoring position here with 2 out for Medicine Hat. Carson Chan will make his way up to bat. Left-handed batter for Medicine Hat. There's a lot of flip-flopping in this order for the Mavericks this season, and that can cause chaos for opposing pitchers. With 1 run already on the board, it seems to have caused a little bit of that for Shoemaker. Swing and a miss on the first dealing from Shoemaker to Chan. Carson Chan, a Calgary, Alberta product. Calgary, 3 hours from where we're at here in Medicine Hat. Beautiful city, famous for their stampede. 0-1 count. Shoemaker, the quick look. Some jumps from Roth. That pitch will miss outside. Carter Roth didn't have a lot of opportunities to steal last year and be a nuisance on the base path. But he does have speed, and he showed that during his collegiate season, stealing 17 bases. Chan will wait. That one will clip for Shoemaker. There's a quick tempo to Shoemaker right now, and I'm not sure if that's a little bit of antsiness on the mound or if that's just the way that he works. Efficient pitchers always seem to fare better, as that one just misses. Shoemaker was on his way to the dugout. Instead, Shoemaker will turn back for the rubber, and living to see another pitch here is Carson Chan, a 2-2 count with 2 out, and Carter Roth over on second base. Here comes the pitch, and it's going to miss at the knees, and it's a full count now to Chan. Waiting on deck, 4th season with the Mavs is Johnny Volcano, and he'll get his first AB of this one. We'll just have to see if it's in this first inning or if he'll have to wait a little bit longer till the bottom of the second. Shoemaker, and a chopped off pitch there by Chan. Roth was nearly at third base behind him. He'll head back towards second. Shoemaker will readjust, so will Chan in the box. Carson Chan, that back foot touching the back line, a very deep stance here for the lefty. Here comes the throw. This one softly hit over towards first. It's flipped over to Shoemaker. He'll touch the bag, and that will be out number 3 here to close out our first. But Medicine Hat, just like they did last year, off to a lead in their first game in the first inning, of the season as Thomas Schnabel came across to score. Blake Dale with the RBI. We'll be right back here on Flow Sports with more in just a few.
To the sports field. It's pretty amazing when you think about how it's all connected, because it truly is. And it's all we think about, so you don't have to.
Welcome back to Game 1 of the season here from Athletic Park. Regina and Medicine Hat, and it's the Mavericks with a 1-0 lead through one. Mentioned that we're going to have a couple cool guests on tonight, and talked about off the top of today's show that will continue through the season. But another thing that's pretty fun is talking to you about some of the events that we have here in Medicine Hat. What's going on, whether that's a carnival or a stampede or a fun art event going on throughout the city. So we'll have segments off and on talking about what's happening here. And then we also want to highlight your communities. So every single Friday game, we will have a segment called Communities or Universities, where we talk about one of these players' hometowns or where they went to school, just to educate you more on what these players are coming from and what they're used to, as opposed to, I guess, what we're used to, depending on where you're from. Archer, a 1-1 count here as he's facing off against Ty Martinez in the DH spot for Regina. This one going to be hit over into center field, a long way back, and making the play in center field is Thomas Schnabel. The Jets are on again for Schnabel. He's been impressive here through 2 innings of play. Of course, 2 innings don't define a whole season, but a nice little taste test of what Schnabel could provide. Back to the plate now as Rain Kreckelwitz draws in, and he's going to take ball 1 from Derek Archer. Archer steps forth, and that one is going to connect for a strike, so the count will go to 1-1. Wearing red tonight, and wearing red often when he's watching MLB games, is Derek Archer, a St. Louis Cardinals fan. You might have been able to predict that, being that he's from Missouri, as the flip play there from Dale to first, and Morrison puts a bow on it for out number 2, and the Mavs, 2 quick ones here in the top of the second. Mateo Pierre draws in on the right side of the plate, and public address announcer Adam Jones making note that this is the beer batter. If you've been here before, you know what the beer batter is about. If not, when you're in attendance and a player strikes out that is deemed the beer batter, which will not happen here, is this one is hit in the air out to right. Stark will make the play. But to finish on that note, after a 1-2-3 inning, if the beer batter strikes out, then that means that the fans in attendance get money off beer. So if you're ever at a game, make sure to keep your eyes peeled, and more so ears peeled, for who the beer batter is. Of course, you're watching at home, so you can crack one open anytime. Maybe do that in the intermission before we come back with the bottom of the second.
Across the league by subscribing to the WCBL YouTube channel right now. We have tons of free coverage for you over there, including daily highlights, full archive game broadcasts, daily game day previews, plus the WCBL report with myself and Joe McFarland every Wednesday. It's all in one spot, the WCBL YouTube channel. Subscribe today.
Country, we've been more than just lawyers. We're your neighbors, your friends, and your strongest advocates. With locations across the prairies, we're everywhere you are. Stringham, your local lawyers.
We return for the bottom of the second inning. If you're just joining us, Medicine Hat a 1-0 lead off an RBI single from Blake Dale, scoring Thomas Schnabel. And to end the last, it was Carson Chan going down on a ground ball. One runner left on. It was Carson Chan, Carter Roth rather, over at second base. And to lead off this inning, it's a guy who's played a lot in this park. He knows it better than anybody else, and the fans know his name better than any other. It's the rock star, Johnny Volcano. Not only can he work wonders with the bat, but he certainly can as well with a mic in his hand and any instrument that you give him, a musically talented family that he comes from. And of course, his brother Adam on the team again this year as well. We're down one Volcano Maverick-wise, as it was Aaron Volcano who was the third member of the trio last year, and he's aged out, so still in and around, and allegedly he's in attendance tonight, is Aaron, but won't be able to step onto the diamond for Medicine Hat this year. And this is really the farewell tour for Johnny, who's made lots of memories here, some walk-offs, some big moments. The only thing missing for him is a championship, which you know he so desperately wants to deliver to Medicine Hat. Pitch going to miss there, and it's a 1-2 count to Volcano. Volcano, a new batting stance this year. He's crouched a bit more, bat more straight up. He used to start from his shoulder, and he'll swing and miss here. A strikeout for Shoemaker. 2 Ks on the day for Shoemaker on the mound. And behind Johnny Volcano, a name that many probably haven't heard of yet, and that's the lefty Eric Calder. They sure have heard of his school. A large provider in the WCBL is Tabor College. All-star Xander Roberts from Tabor College last year played for Medicine Hat. Shoemaker is going to dot a strike right away to Eric Calder, and that's a welcome to the WCBL pitch from Shoemaker. Shoemaker quick to it, and this one's going to be clubbed up. It's heading towards short, and the play is going to be made. It's into the glove of Mason Cantor. And now walking up to the plate is Jamel Chabot. He was part of several Valley City State players that joined Medicine Hat last year. Andrew Kim being one on the mound. And, of course, Jaden Babiuk, who is a longtime member of the Mavs, no longer with them this year, now playing for London in the Canadian Professional League and is having lots of success there. So he not with them, but Chabot, who wasn't at Valley City this year, rather at the University of Fort Lauderdale down in Florida, sunny over there, is back with the Mavs, the lone representative of former school in Valley City State. 1-1 count to Chabot here with 2 outs on the board from Medicine Hat. Shoemaker. This one going to be grounded over towards second base. Samard, quick work over to first, and a 1-2-3 inning here for the Red Sox. They needed that, and that will take us to the 3rd inning here from Athletic Park. Mavs still clinging on to a 1-run lead.
Yes.
Can I join you guys? All right, let's go.
Whether it's
it's on the ice or on our app. Always play for the fun of the game. Gamble responsibly with Play Alberta.
Back for the third inning, Derek Archer still on the mound. It's been an efficient last 2 innings for the righty. So he warms up with Nate King catching behind the plate, another returner for Medicine Hat, not in the game tonight. King spent last season with Medicine Hat. The season prior, he was with the Brooks Bombers. And that's always something that's very interesting, is the movement around the WCBL. It's fascinating to see what players go to what teams year in and year out, and what players may have a down year in one place and then explode onto the scene in another. One prime example would be Brett Getz, a former Medicine Hat Maverick, went to Lethbridge, and he really found his stride last year, made the All-Star game for the Bulls. And the opposite can even happen as far as Regina goes, looking into this year, and we're yet to see Tristan Eberle. Spent last year with Moose Jaw, really didn't get into much action, but they're going to rely on him out of their pen this year as a member of the Red Sox. Those just a few moves that have happened in the last couple of years that these two teams have been a part of, and we'll see what they look like in the future and if they pay off sooner than later. So Will Togger steps into the batter's box, his first meeting tonight with Derek Archer. Archer will start him off with a first pitch ball. Archer shaking off a few pitches from catcher Jamel Chabot. And then he goes with the fastball, a four-seam fastball that's fouled off towards the kids in right. If you're in attendance here at any point at Athletic Park, you'll notice the kids like to collect to that far right-hand side. But if you turn off to your left, and I know our camera can't see it, that's where the patios are. Lots of companies in Medicine Hat will do group bookings and come out all as a bunch to celebrate. And it's a great place to celebrate. Who wouldn't want to watch live baseball, especially when it's two of the best that we're seeing here tonight? But in general, the product that the Mavericks have put on the field, and many teams in the WCBL, it's high level, and we continue to see it improve year by year. And improving in this count is Derek Archer. It's 2-2 now. Toger will take his time and step back in. Toger spending his year at Garden City Community College. He's one of two members of Regina that spent their collegiate year there. Mason Tafoya the other. Full count here. Archer v. Toger. Ground ball. Slipping there's Volcano. He readjusts. And that one squarely into the glove of Evan Morrison. I feel like it's a tradition to mention this in the first broadcast of the season, but Johnny Volcano, when he came in to the league and started off with Lethbridge originally and then in his second year with the Mavs, the defense was always something that was a bit questionable. He could make super flashy plays, and the potential was there. It was putting it together as a young player. Now he's a very steady glove out there, and he's become a smart player defensively. And even when he slips or something's not 100% on cue, he still makes the best of it. Is that one into the mid of Archer for an easy out, flying right by the Mavericks pitcher's ear. So two quick outs here again for Medicine Hat. And it'll be the top of the order, second time through here for Regina. Second time Archer will see Mason Cantor, the shortstop. Cantor almost looks like he's crowding the plate, lays down a bunt, and it goes foul. Sometimes when your team's in a rut, that's a place to start. Lay down a bunt, try and get on, put it in a sneaky spot, and get a little bit of momentum back your way. For a team that is as sneaky and as sneaky good, you could say, as Regina has been in years past. They're playing a bit behind here, but fortunately for them, the score just won. Fouling that back off, and towards the left-hand side of the diamond is Cantor. Hasn't been a base runner for quite a while for Regina. You have to think back to the first inning when it was Justin Simard, and he only got to first base. He's now on deck. Archer down the pipe, and that one fouled off. Archer going with the fastball there, and a bunny on the field. I'm not sure if that's good luck or bad luck, but it crosses right ahead of home plate. I got to say, that's something I've never seen here before. So first game of the year, we're already seeing new things. That's not common at all. Speaking to quite a few pitchers to begin this year, many very superstitious. We'll see if Archer is that way. Here comes the pitch, and it will miss outside. Throwing a couple of fastballs Cantor's way here is Archer. He does have a changeup in his repertoire, and we'll see if he chooses to use that here. Archer, the pitch, and this one is just going to squeak foul. It was riding the line, and Evan Morrison made sure that it stayed foul. Archer will regroup. Cantor chooses to do the same, going for a short jog behind home plate. Archer, the stare down into the glove. Here's the step and a swing and a miss. Derek Archer gets him, and that concludes the top of the third. Regina, no answers for the Mavs. Strong righty. As the Mavs base coach Chad Pigmartin jogs his way over to first, that's our signal to return to the action here from Medicine Hat. Game one, as we mentioned, of the season, Red Sox Mavericks, and Josh Stark. It has been a long wait for the lefty to return to his home park in Medicine Hat. Last played in 2022, a team that squeaked into the playoffs, came a game short of the finals, and this is first action with Medicine Hat since, and his family parked right behind home plate, or I guess not directly behind, just to the right-hand side. He's got a large cheering squad, and the Stark name synonymous within Medicine Hat. If you're out near the Medicine Hat Tigers Arena, you'll see a place called Stark's. Yes, Josh Stark connected to that brand and building, and a staple within Medicine Hat. 0-2 count here. Shoemaker going right after Josh to start. And Stark, a swing and a miss. So 3 consecutive swings for Stark as he's down on strikes. The Mavs will go back up to the top of their order. Thomas Schnabel, who was walked in his first plate appearance, will return. Schnabel looks to have good range in center field, and that's something that the Mavericks kind of felt was a question mark coming into this year. Jeremy Freeman Jr., who patrolled that sector of the diamond last year, was named a 2025 All-Star, not with the team this coming season after his year at Ottawa, Kansas. And so Schnabel, as we mentioned before, the Mavericks weren't sure what they had, but his first play defensively was a beauty. Shoemaker dives into this one, and sending one over into center is Schnabel, but the play will be made in center field, and it's into the glove of Mason Tafoya. 2 down here for Medicine Hat, and 2 down relatively quickly. Shoemaker taking a page out of Archer's book. Blake Dale, his second time through, picked up his first RBI of the season in his last. See if Shoemaker has learned anything about the Kansas Wesleyan product. Shoemaker, a bouncer in the dirt. No trouble with nobody on the base path for Medicine Hat. Shoemaker, not the only pitcher in his family. His brother, Austin Shoemaker, a pro ball player, previously played in the USPBL. Shoemaker, that time he's back into the strike zone as he lays that one in there, evens the count at 1 apiece. Dale has become more of a patient hitter throughout his years. Shoemaker, the quick stride, and he couldn't get that one to go as it's outside to Dale for ball number 2. Blake Dale started off his Mavs tenure 3 years ago as a product of McCook Community College. As he sends that one back to the netting. He was one of 2 players that joined Medicine Hat in 2024 from said college. The other, Michael Quick, who's still in the WCBL. He's now playing for the Sylvan Lake Gulls, and what a pickup he's been for the Gulls. He was lights out last year in their run to the finals. Here's the pitch from Shoemaker, and this one is hit high over into center field. It's going to chase Tafoya all the way back. A high bounce off the wall. Dale struts into second, and he'll have to put on the brakes. A double for Blake Dale, who is red hot to begin this game. Chance to drive in another run late here for Medicine Hat. 2 outs off the hop. Shoemaker not happy as he slams the rosin bag down. And now he has a treat at the plate in Evan Morrison, who was a pitcher's worst nightmare at the start of last season. We mentioned leading the league in home runs at one point. Shoemaker, quick look behind him. Morrison, a dribbler over to second. Samard collects over to first. And that will do it for the third. So the Mavs leave Dale stranded on second. They still have the 1-run lead here and have only given up 1 hit to the Red Sox, whose bats have been ice cold on this warm summer night.
Fans, make sure to stay up to date with your favorite teams across the league by subscribing to the WCBL YouTube channel right now. We have tons of free coverage for you over there, including daily highlights, full archived game broadcasts, daily game day previews, plus the WCBL report with myself and Joe McFarland every Wednesday. It's all in one spot, the WCBL YouTube channel. Subscribe today.
And while we have a chance, we're just a few innings into this game as we enter the 4th. Let's take a look at how these two have fared last year. There's been lots of talk about what they did last year, but here are the numbers in front of you. 34-21, an excellent regular season for the Medicine Hat Mavericks under coach Jonathan Thornhill, and the Regina Red Sox under Rai Pathakis last season, 29-27. It was Regina who had the 3rd seed, the Mavericks with the 2nd, and Regina getting the better during that playoff series. And that is also indicated in the head-to-head record, 6-4 for Regina. Of course, that means Medicine Hat 4-6 against the Red Sox, so a slight lead in that department. And looking at the runs here, no, Regina did not score 11 runs last year, and it's probably not 111 either. Just a glitch, but Medicine Hat had 427 last season, Regina a few less, and that was part of the start to last season that Medicine Hat had, where they were scoring just about 10 runs a game for the first 6 games of the year. They also began with an 8-game win streak at home to start last season. Archer, that one will dust up some dirt. And being that it's our 4th inning, we will have James Tubb joining us in a part of this inning, and he's been down at field level taking in the game, so we'll get his thoughts. Archer ties up this count at 1-1. And at the plate to face Archer for the second time is Justin Simard. Archer steps forth. Simard gonna pop this one over into right. Long way to go. Stark makes the play. And that'll get the fans on their feet. Josh Stark wearing number 23, and he looks like Air Jordan with a dive into the grass. And Archer, a quick look over into right field after that play. A beauty for Stark and big for the confidence. You know, coming back can always be tough. Being in front of your home community is tricky. There's some pressures that just come with it. But Stark taking it well. Is taking a strike at the plate here. Is number 23, Mason Tafoya. Putting one in the zone is Derek Archer. And alongside me, and happy to have you with for another season, James, is James Tubb with the Medicine Hat News. And James, you've covered this league for a long time. You've gotten a chance to connect with some of the Mavs early in this season. How exciting is it to be back?
Yeah, it's very exciting, Truman, and thanks for having me. And, you know, the Mavs are very excited. The returners I talked about, like the group in front of them.
And this one behind the glove of Blake Dale. He's going to shimmy backwards, leave for Stark. And that one caught in the air for out number 2. It's been a quick start to this game defensively for the Mavs, and that's helping out their pitcher, Derek Archer, on the mound, who's pitched a gem so far. But those defensive plays and short innings, that's going to help them down the stretch here.
For sure, and that's what you want to see from the first game of the season is defense being structurally sound, everyone making their plays, and, you know, it's just everyone showing what they can do, and so far it's looked really good defensively.
And a head shake here from Brady Bye, who, James, you were at the All-Star game last year. He's a real treat.
He is. He puts on quite a show, and he was a big part of that, Regina championship run last year.
1-0 the count to Bye, and swing and a miss there as Archer takes him down low. Brady Bye expected to have another big year this year. Mavs infield playing over on the grass. You can see both Dale and Volcano quite deep. They know he's a power threat. Volcano going to track backwards, getting called off there by Chan, and that will be the 3rd out. So a quick top of the 4th again. And how about it for Medicine Hat? They continue to roll along here, stifling the Regina lineup.
Yeah, and all through the outfield there, the one, you called it the big catch there by Josh Stark. Just an effort, right? And it sets the tone for the inning that goes by pretty quick.
And Stark, he'll remember that one, especially in your first game. We talked about the nerves, but getting to do it and then looking over at his family just makes it that much sweeter.
For sure. And, his first season, he played alongside brothers Zach and Nathan, and, he was just a young guy then, right? I think he was either fresh out of high school or first year, and so there's a lot of nerves there. And, now he's a little older now, played a little bit more ball, but I think just coming off of a strikeout right in the first at-bat of the season, to go out there and put up a catch like that, catch another one right after, just kind of sets the tone and settles in kind of for the rest of the game. And, it's a while, but the rest of the season.
And you talked about that settling in process. Derek Archer seemed like he was to it right away. Not a lot of settling in for him. Aiden Shoemaker, the opposite. There was some turmoil early on, but it seems like he's started to figure things out and the gears are turning.
Yeah, I think they're both really good pitchers, Truman. And, talking about Shoemaker, he is able to settle in. And, we've seen him blow the ball by guys at times and, make the ball spin in ways that get strikeouts. And, that's big for this Regina offense as they try to come back now, is just that their pitcher puts up zeros, 3 innings, 3 strikeouts. That's what you want as a pitcher, a strikeout in an inning or more.
You never know when you stick around long enough what could unfold. We've seen it too often. The WCBL should be known for its wild comebacks at this point. And do we have one here early on in this 2026 season? Only time will tell. Here's Carter Roth up at the plate. And the most Carter Roth first at bat, battle, and then send a beam over into deep right center.
It was what we'd come to expect from last season, right? The numbers he put up this season with Doane University leading NAIA in hits. What the steps he's taken has been incredible.
Here's a ground ball to second. Simard, once again, he could be asleep out there and he'd still make plays like that. No problem. That's out number 1 for Regina.
Regina has an error on the day. It's a throwdown in the steal that, lets the Mavs score the first run there and moving a base run along. But their defense has looked good too. It is they were champions for a reason last year. They do a good job assembling a club, and it looks good right now for them as well.
And into bat here, batting in the 5 spot is Carson Chan. First pitch is going to miss. Chan, his bloodline runs deep within the Mavs organization. Joel Lutz, one of the all-time greats and the all-time home run leader in Medicine Hat Mavericks history. Well, he's cousins with Carson Chan as that pitch to Chan goes high, and he's got a favorable count here, 2-0.
You always like to hear the stories, right? It's for me, working at the newspaper, it's stuff you love, you want to write about, and it just gives fans a connection, from the past to now.
Well, we could really get carried away up here, James. This could be like sitting next to a campfire and just talking about all the stories we've heard over the years, and as you mentioned, that's what it's about.
Yeah, just talking about guys and years, and it's kind of what sports is, right? Bringing everyone together.
And it's so funny how everybody's one connection away. We talk about the more immediate connection here with Chan, but many of these players know a guy or have been teammates, and it's fun to get to learn how it's all tied together into one.
It is. It's a small world. It's not just a ride in Disney. It's a small world after all.
That was really good. I'm just going to give you credit. I'm going to break the wall there, James. That was good. Here comes Johnny Volcano up to the plate. 2 outs for the Mavs here. More quick work for Regina on the backside. Shoemaker plants, and that one in and out of the glove of Mateo Pierre. We've seen a few of those today, and I think that speaks to it being the beginning of the season. And many of these guys, we talked about all the connections, but not being teammates and not knowing each other's tendencies.
You don't know what the movement is, and I think that one might have been called a strike, Truman. I didn't see it that way, but just coming out of the glove like that, it's not usually a strike. It looks like, it takes, and it's 2 strikes now in Johnny Volcano. So it does take catchers and pitchers, right? You see movement and how pitches dance. Take some time to learn that.
There's a high one that flies its way into the mid of Pierre. Pierre, born in France, so I assume that he speaks a little bit of French. Here's Shoemaker, and that one fouled off by Volcano. And communication often key between I almost said catcher and pitcher, which is right. I don't know. I was second guessing myself. But watching the Mavericks a couple days ago in a bullpen, it was Nate King and Trevor Sire who've known each other forever, and they didn't talk almost the whole time. 2 very vocal guys and guys that like to express themselves, but they were so on cue. They didn't have to say anything. And we see that start to kind of percolate for other players who haven't played with each other as the season goes along.
For sure. It's just building that bond that, comes with how many games these guys play, right? It's 56, and I think it's around 70 days. It's a quick schedule, so you better learn your group and get friends with everyone. That's what builds a championship. That's what Regina had last year. So the bond early really settles in late.
2-2 count with 2 outs. And Volcano will stay alive again. Good catch down there at first base by Chad Pig Martin. And I mentioned that name earlier, but I should explain. Chad Martin, a longtime member of the Medicine Hat baseball community, a former player, a teacher, and a longtime coach for the Mavericks. You'll often see him sitting over towards first base. And boy, does he have a lot of knowledge about this ball club, this league, the game in general. And his nickname is Pig, so we always have to fill that in there. As Regina, they fill out the scorecard with 3 outs, and that means another inning has flown by. We'll be back here on Flow Sports as we enter the 5th. Inning number 5 here on WCBL Open Day. Flow Sports, your action, or we'll have the action for you throughout the course of this 2026 season. And if you want action in written form, that would be Ian Wilson, the mastermind behind writing all of the stories that carry this great league. Ian, happy to have you here on the broadcast.
Well, with that introduction, thank you. I don't know how to live up to that, actually.
Well, your words often do. I think the first thing that we should kind of introduce to the fans is what you do if they're not already aware of the great work that you put together for us.
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, I am the media coordinator with the Western Canadian Baseball League. In addition, I'm the co-founder and contributor to Alberta Dugout Stories and Saskatchewan Dugout Stories. So we do a lot of, with the Dugout Stories websites, we cover baseball from high to low, most age groups, and like a lot of the historical aspects of the game. And it's just a great sport, and we love it. And it's great to be a part of this league as well, and sharing the great stories in this league, which you've come to be familiar with as well.
You bet. As Ty Martinez in on the left side here, still facing off against Derek Archer, who's writing quite the story here in his young WCBL career.
Absolutely.
Archer will wait, quick step, delivers, and gets a low swing there from Ty Martinez, who strikes out. Not a ton of Ks on the card for Derek Archer today, but it's how well he's worked and how efficient he's been that has really stood out.
It's been a well defensively played game as well. It's they're kind of in mid-season form, which is great to see.
Yeah, we don't often get that. There's lots of errors and weird plays. You think back to last season at this very park, it was a walk-off on a wild pitch against Okotoks that was the kickoff to the season. We haven't had any of that yet, but don't want to speculate that that might not rear its head at some point. Archer. This one is ripped over into right. Good positioning from Josh Stark, and he'll wrap that one up for out number 2. So, Ian, you talk about the Red Sox and what they've kind of built this year, but last year an exciting season, and I'm sure you were privy to the great run that they went on.
Absolutely. I was along for some of it, and they just really came out of nowhere. Rye Pathakos in Sylvan Lake during the final came up to me and he said, "Did you think we'd be here?" And I said to him, "No, I absolutely did not."
Those Cinderella stories, always fun, and I think what made it even a bit richer in that they were able to win is obviously the loss of their teammate Jesse Lubanicki last year, and being able to do it for a guy who was supposed to join them to start the year, and a guy that many of his teammates on last year's squad were very interconnected with.
Absolutely. And, I think it was a rallying point, and that was something that was on display by the time they were gripping the trophy at the end. There was a lot of talk of Jesse's name and, and some tears as well in his honor.
0-2 count here. Archer going face-to-face here with Mateo Pierre. 2 outs here for the Mavericks, and there hasn't been a lot of traffic on the base paths, Ian, and some of that defensive work, as you said, it hasn't been sloppy, but the play at the plate has been the opposite. Into the glove of Blake Dale, and he is going to send one, so classic announcers jinx. Chabot goes to second, and he is safe. Pierre in just in time. It was a great throw from Chabot, but just an inch off.
The defense almost bailed them out on the overthrow there. That was a really well-executed throw to second.
And Jamel Chabot, he's not a scrambly catcher when you watch him behind the plate, but when the ball gets loose and he's able to navigate around the diamond, he can show off plays like that. He's very quick-witted when he needs to be. So Archer back on top of the bump with 2 outs, and it's the first time a Regina runner has touched second today. Quick look from Archer. Will Toger at the plate. He's going to pop this up. Volcano will let it drift into center field. And Thomas Schnabel will claim out number 3. The top of the 5th is over. A little bit of action for Regina. They scared us there to start, but they weren't able to push one over the plate, and it remains a 1-0 ball game.
changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Aiden Shoemaker still on the mound, and he's only given up 2 hits but 1 run for Regina, and that was way earlier on in the game. We're already at the 5th. It's been ripping by, and Ian Wilson has been here for the last half inning, and he returns again. But Ian, you're going to be off pretty quick here. You're going to the Rural Roots Baseball Classic tomorrow. Can you fill us in on what that's all about?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a quick turnaround. I get to come to the home opener here in Medicine Hat, my hometown, and then bright and early in the morning, I'll be off to Cardiff, Saskatchewan to watch the Weyburn Beavers host the Saskatoon Berries in a regular season classic.
And that's something we've seen the WCBL buy into over the last couple of seasons a bit more, these fun little eventful games that happen in off-site areas. Why do you think that's so important for the WCBL to embrace smaller communities?
Well, I think it's a huge nod to our history. Last season was in Oyen, Alberta. Oyen was actually a champion in this league. I'm going to botch the year, so I won't say it, but it was in the 90s. I think it was in the mid-90s, with the Oyen Pronghorns, back when it was the Saskatchewan Major Baseball League. So those are some roots we want to pay homage to, and there's tons of players in this league who come through Oyen, through Badlands Academy. Gavin Logan comes to mind. He's playing pro now. Used to be an Okotoks dog catcher. And this year, we're in Cardiff, Saskatchewan. Unfortunately, Carter Beck will not be in attendance because he's probably getting drafted in the MLB draft right away here. So he's got some other commitments. But, that's his hometown. His dad will be there. I'll be talking to his dad. And they'll be showing off the community. And I think, too, with these communities, they're excited to show them off.
Showing off the bat there is Eric Calder. His first hit as a Medicine Hat Maverick. He can play a little bit of first. He can DH. You might even see him in either left or right field. He says he's open to it as long as center field isn't in the cards, not his favorite spot. Jamel Chabot will come up with 1 on, and feels like forever since we've had 1 on with nobody out, Ian. A bit of a twist to this game's plot.
You know what? I think the pace of play rules are working. I think on a hot day like today in Medicine Hat, the fans might be okay getting out of the ballpark in a tight timeline.
And Jamel Chabot with a bullet up the middle, and he's got himself a base hit and some base runners from Medicine Hat. 2 on with nobody out. No action down in either bullpen so far, and rightly so. These pitchers have earned the chance to go deep in this game.
They're in mid-season form as well, so no need for Rye or I believe Greg is calling the shots in the Medicine Hat dugout tonight.
Yes.
To really look down in the pen.
And it won't be that way all season long, but Greg Morrison, a known coach in Medicine Hat, many have had him in such role, and he gets to do it for the big club here, an owner and general manager, but he'll fill any space that needs to be as a bunt put down here and an effective one, a ranging throw to first, and they will get Josh Stark, but it pays off.
That was a great throw from Brady.
Brady Bye, known as a catcher back in his early WCBL days, but he's making third look like a regular thing for him.
Yeah, I saw him during batting practice and, with some cutoff shirts, and he's been in the gym lately, put it that way, and he was hitting the ball pretty hard.
Seems like each new iteration of Brady Bye is much more superior to the last. It's fun to watch him grow up over the years because he's become a staple of this league and really the face of the Regina Red Sox.
Yeah, and the playoff MVP last season, hometown hero, and I think he had a hit in every game in the playoffs for the Red Sox during their run.
Here's Aiden Shoemaker looking to make a name for himself amongst the team that's had plenty of good pitchers over the years. Mentioned Zane Paulin earlier tonight, a former All-Star. Daniel Crabtree wasn't with the team last year, All-Star in 24 back with them. And you can't forget about Colton Anderson and what he did during his Regina days.
No, former most outstanding pitcher.
And an outstanding drive over into left field. Schnabel to it once again. He's got his first RBI of his WCBL career, and it's a 2-0 Mavericks lead. Thomas Schnabel turning heads here in the stands, and the Mavericks with runners on the corners, and now some action starting to roll down at the Regina bullpen.
Just a beautiful night at the park tonight, too. I'm not sure what the attendance is, but it looks pretty full here, and it's a great night to be out. The opening day, it just gives me all the feels, and like I said, this is my hometown, so grew up watching single-A Medicine Blue Jays action here. A little bit before Greg was a player here, like when I was a kid. He was older. He's obviously a little bit older than I am. Not obviously. He still looks pretty good for his age. But, yeah, just a huge figure in this community and rich history of baseball in this town.
Any fond memories growing up here watching baseball? Ian, is there one that jumps out?
There is not one specific. I remember being a kid begging for bats from the players coming out of the clubhouse. It was like, I remember saying, "Oh, give us a bat, give us a cleat, anything, give us your hat, anything." Especially like the last games of the season when they were clearing out and maybe didn't want to keep their bag too full. And just it's in a beautiful spot. You're right off the South Saskatchewan River here, and just a great place to watch ball and fall in love with the game.
Fall in love is right, and many young fans doing so or in the process of doing so here at tonight's game. And as you mentioned, lots of butts in seats, and it's always positive, and it represents a community too, keeping that love for the game alive, passing it down to the next generation. Is a pickoff attempt over at first, but Schnabel, who's starting to use the speed more and more, gets back in time. Blake Dale up to bat, and a fastball right by him. Turning up the tempo there was Shoemaker. 0-1 count to Blake Dale. Chance to really break this game open. Shoemaker, couple of head nods, and he's going to miss. He turned down the tempo a bit that time, going off speed and missing outside. Schnabel over at first, and they're going to try to get him again, but he's back in time. Always a risky play, especially for a guy in Shoemaker looking away. Shoemaker will try it for a third time. And in Major League Baseball, I believe that has been one of the major rule changes. He would be on his way to a new base. WCBL, they haven't adjusted to that rule quite yet, but could be something in the future.
Something to look at for sure.
High one to Blake Dale. 2-1 the count. A patient approach here from Dale.
A pretty crucial part of the game too, right? You've got a chance to open it up a bit, and we'll see what happens.
Schnabel gonna go for second. He's gonna slide, and he gets there, and a chance for a run to come home. And Chabot will score. It's now 3-0 for the Mavericks. Schnabel's all the way over at third base now as he climbed the ranks, and he'll stay put. Holding him there was Greg Morrison, and Blake Dale will return to the plate with a 2-1 count, but with a little less work to do now with one runner off the base paths and into home plate.
You got to love the aggressiveness there, right? Really forcing the issue, and it pays off.
And that's something we saw a lot of from the Mavericks last year, especially in that first 5 or 6 games of the year. Shoemaker. And a head bop backwards there for Blake Dale, who's down on strikes. So originally a favorable count at 2-1. turning it on its head is Shoemaker as he gets the veteran looking. But coming a veteran right in front of our very eyes is Evan Morrison. 3rd year in the league, Ian. Can you believe that he's already year 3?
He's got that Frank Thomas build, doesn't he? Like, just a massive specimen, and he's got a powerful bat. There's no question.
High one there from Shoemaker. He won't chase.
And I think that'll be a big part of it, is just maintaining that strike zone and not chasing for him.
Shoemaker staring right towards Schnabel, and that time it's a strike that Morrison is hit with. When you look at Evan Morrison, his season a summer ago, rather, was kind of similar to what you would see from a Chris Davis or a Joey Gallo in the MLB in kind of that 2010s era. But there is a chance that he can turn more into a Giancarlo Stanton type of player where, you know, the average may not be in the 300s, but it's fairly high, and he's consistent at the plate, and he's a fear factor.
You need a power bat in there, right? You need the threat of that, and you need someone who can clear the bases in one swing.
1-2 count, 2 outs, and a man on third for Morrison. Shoemaker. Did Morrison go? He did, and it's a strikeout and a key one for Shoemaker, who keeps this at a 3-run game here through 5. Top of 6, Derek Archer still firmly planted on the mound. He's had himself a great game and firmly planted into a new role with the WCBL. Said earlier on in today's broadcast that we're welcoming a new member to our WCBL family, and that is Noah Rollheiser. And Noah, welcome to the broadcast booth. How have you been adjusting to your new role, and can you explain what you do for our league?
Yes, no, of course. I appreciate the welcome. I've actually came on this year as the Director of Corporate Sponsorship, so I oversee all the sponsorships and assets throughout the entirety of the league. I'm lucky enough to be in Medicine Hat tonight for opening night, so it couldn't be anywhere better. Honestly, it's 30 degrees, it's sunny, it's nice.
And I see you're rocking a pretty special hat. It hasn't been revealed totally, but the baby sprays on your head. I know the fans can't see at home, but a pretty unique twist that the Mavericks did last season to usher in kind of a alter ego.
No, absolutely. It's a beautiful hat, a nice baby blue, kind of Blue Jay baby blue-esque, and I hear the jerseys are really, really nice too. I'm not going to give anything away, but I've got an inside source saying the jerseys are spectacular this year. They updated them a little bit, so looking forward to seeing the baby sprays.
Well, last year's were certainly mint. Noah, can you maybe mention the first time that you came across the WCBL and maybe watched a game, or maybe you were a fan of a team growing up. Where did it begin?
No, absolutely. Good question. So I'm actually from small town Oyen, Alberta, a town of 800 people, about an hour and a half north of here. So Medicine Hat is our closest center in terms of WCBL. So I was coming down here as a kid to watch. I remember coming for a couple of championship runs as well, which was great, coming down with the ball team. Unfortunately, we didn't have too much baseball in Oyen, so I actually played in Kindersley. But we'll say that I'm an Alberta born and raised guy, and I've been a Mavs fan forever. And don't tell anyone else that, as now I'm in the league. I have to spread out my love, but definitely cheering for both sides tonight. I just want to see a good game, and so far we've seen a great pitchers matchup.
And I know we're a Mavs broadcast, and I grew up as a Medicine Hat native, but I'm here for the game as Volcano over to second, and the double play will not go through. Just missing by a hair at first. Morrison trying to get to it in time, lunged out, made the grab, but a speedy runner in Mason Cantor, and that's why he's playing in the middle infield, proving his worth there and making it just 1 out in this inning. Derek Archer will wait to get going ahead again here. Nobody warming up in the Mavericks bullpen. Not a lot of action over on the Regina side either. We saw them tinkering with things down there at one point, but it didn't turn into anything more.
And I don't know if you've seen, but Regina's rocking a championship patch on their arm tonight. It looks very, very nice. I know Okotoks has put it on their hat prior, but tonight with that championship patch on the Regina sleeve, it looks very nice.
Did you know that before the game that could be an option, as throw down here to second? This could be a third bag potentially, but putting on the brakes is Cantor. Hill stay put at second. Did you know that prior? Was that something that you were aware of?
I did not. I was actually chatting with Ian Wilson prior to the game, who came on right before me, and we kind of pointed it out together, saying that's a great touch on a obviously already a nice jersey, the nice navy blue with the gray pants. The patch on the shoulder looks great, and looking to see if they can put that patch back on next year, or if somebody else is going to take it over. I hear the Medicine Hat Mavericks have a great squad this year, so we'll see what happens.
You just never know. There's a good block there from Jamel Chabot behind the plate. And alluded to it just prior, when he's forced to move, he can. He's a very stable figure when he's working directly behind the plate, but if he has to adjust, he will.
I also played behind the plate back in my day, and he moves a lot better than I do, that's for sure. I guess that's why I'm up in the booth and he's down there, though. So that's the difference between him and I.
Do you think he'd take your job, though?
You know what? I don't know the guy. I think he might be able to take my role. As long as he can talk and pretend to know what he's talking about, I think he has a shot.
Well, I don't think you're pretending at all. You said you're a former catcher, and you're already giving him credit, so I think it's just pure honesty.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Here's a long run for Evan Morrison, who, if the Mavs were to elect someone to join the NFL, it would be Morrison. He's the perfect build for a tight end. He was a former basketball player in his day, so has some hardwood in his roots, but football build for sure. And in a town that is home to Alec A.O. Manor, who's on the Tennessee Titans, it's a
there you go.
Fitting thing.
Well, he's tree trunks for legs, that's for sure. Kid can probably do whatever he wants.
Plays a very good first base. That's what we know for sure about Morrison.
And he can hit a ball.
1-2 count here, and this one is hit hard over towards left. A long way to range back, but the play is made by Carson Chan. It just seems, Noah, that the ball isn't traveling as far tonight. It could be that murkiness in the air. It's been humid here the last couple of days.
No, it definitely has. I came in last night and got to spend the night in beautiful metropolis of Medicine Hat. So I have been here for the nice warmth, and I am actually surprised as well. I thought with the heat today, I thought it'd be traveling. I thought we were going to see a shot or two, and we are still pretty early into the games. We still might get the treat of that, but I guess we'll see. Has to be 30 degrees still, you'd think.
It's got to be close. We're here in the AC, so, better in our neck of the woods.
We're living the life up here right now.
Swing and a miss from Mason Tafoya. Runner in scoring position here with 2 outs. Brady Bai looming on deck, and if you want a deep shot in a key moment, Bai is usually the guy to do so. We'll see if he gets his opportunity.
And you know what? Not to call it, but I think if there is a shot tonight, I would say it's to that right field. I've seen a lot go out to the right field. You don't see as many on the left field. I don't know if it's a scoreboard or what that is, but if you see a shot in Medicine Hat, it's usually to the right field fence.
And it's funny you mentioned that. we used to, in prior years, always talk about the two flags that are over in right field, and they were always blowing left to right. And I'm not sure if that's just the way that the hills behind us have configured things, if it has anything to do with the berm, or if it's just Medicine Hat. But that was something we've always picked up on, and you're definitely right. More will go out to that right side than towards the scoreboard.
There you go.
0-2 count, Archer. Looking to get one more, and he does. A massive strikeout for the senior Derek Archer, who sits down Mason Tafoya, and the Red Sox leave one on the base path. Well, Noah, if you want to stick around for another half inning, we'd love to have you here as we get closer and closer to the finish line on this opening day in the 2026 WCBL season. The sun's going down, but the energy's still alive here at Athletic Park. Bottom of the 6th inning, and the Mavericks with a 3-run lead, their largest lead of the game, as Regina, they looked to play catch-up last inning, had a runner in scoring position, couldn't translate anything again against, we could call him the Archer now because he has hit the bullseye many times tonight, Derek Archer out of Westminster College, who has had a peach of a performance.
Oh, absolute great arm on the kid. He's throwing gas, throwing dots right out of the bat here. He looks good this start of the season.
And a new pitcher in for the Regina Red Sox, but it's the same school that has produced the last two. Aiden Schumacher played at Edgewood. So did Chris Hahn, who enters onto the dirt now.
You know, I was thinking during that half inning there, the river is downstream going left to right field as well. I don't know. I failed bio. I don't know if that's biology, but I did not do very well in bio 30, but I think that might be the reason why we see balls go to the right field.
Well, I passed bio and I don't know. So we're both hooped.
Yeah, that's why we're in baseball.
Exactly. Hahn will dig in his cleats here. He's behind in his first matchup of the night against Carter Roth, and that is not a sight that you want to see as a pitcher, especially when this is your first taste of the league. No offering from Roth there, who has a keen eye.
Who has looked very comfortable behind the plate as well tonight.
Roth, a long-time fast pitch player. He was one of the latest players on this Mavericks team to become a baseball player, and some would argue he's turned out the best.
Oh, he's looked really good tonight, that's for sure.
This one fouled off. He'll make these counts tough. He used to have a more dramatic sway with the bat on his shoulder. Seems like that's calmed down. I asked him last year about it. He said it was more so a rhythm thing for getting him to his spot and making it look easy out there, as we've already viewed this evening. Full count here to Roth. Nobody on. And Chris Hahn waiting patiently. Here comes the pitch, and a swing and a miss. Delivering a knockout punch there to Roth was Hahn, and he gets out number 1. So behind Roth is Carson Chan. Chan had a really solid year collegiately. He batted around the 340 mark for most of the year, and he started the year batting around 280, but once he hit above 300, he never fell below.
It's not a bad place to be.
Chan, a couple twirls of the bat. He'll wait on Hahn. First pitch going to be fouled off left side towards the old Medicine Hat Arena, which I think we should make note of. Talked about the Medicine Hat Tigers being the counterpart hockey-wise of the Mavericks in town. Those are the two big sports teams, and they used to play just down the alley over here, but have since moved out to Co-op Place, which is a mighty fine facility.
Oh, it's absolutely beautiful. I remember coming again to Medicine Hat to watch the Tigers back in the old barn, and that place had a lot of character, but I'll tell you what, that Co-op Place looks really nice now. I'd say that has to be one of the jewels of the WHL right now.
And it's even nicer with how good they've played the last few years, and this year, the Ruck twins carrying the load. Last year, of course, Gavin McKenna, who's the talk of just about every town, especially that city down in Ontario that they call Toronto, as the Maple Leafs in line to potentially select him with the first overall pick. As a Leafs guy, I don't want to jinx it, but that's what it's looking like.
Hey, you know what? As a Flames guy, I'm hoping the Flames pick up those Rucks late round 1, early round 2. I would love to see the Rucks come to Calgary and play with their counterpart, who the Flames drafted last year, Cole Reshny.
And Andrew Basha as well, a former Tiger who played a bit with the Wranglers this year and is a part of that organization. Mentioned the interconnectedness in baseball. It's also there in hockey as well. You can you can pick any sport and you're going to get the same thing, just a whole set of new stories.
Absolutely. You guys are blessed here at Medicine Hat. You got a lot of very strong sports teams. It's definitely a good time to be housed in Medicine Hat, that's for sure, with the Tigers doing well and the Mavericks having a very successful season last year as well.
And although Calgary very spread out, there's a pretty high-level team near your area code. And in this league, the Okotoks Dogs, not only how they play on the field, but the product that they deliver entertainment-wise at Siemens Stadium. It is one of the best experiences, and getting to see that at the All-Star game last year really blew me away.
Absolutely. No, Siemens Stadium's absolutely top-notch. It's a great facility, and the Okotoks Dogs are a great organization, obviously. They've won the WCBL championship a number of times, and they're ran by great people as well. I have nothing but good things to say about the Okotoks Dogs, and they look like they're poised to put a strong bid into winning the league again this year. We'll see if Medicine Hat meets them possibly in the league championship, but I think we have a lot of strong teams this year in the WCBL, and I'm really looking forward to seeing a lot of really great baseball this year. And who knows, maybe we'll have another Cinderella like the Regina Red Sox were last year. I don't think they're going to be a Cinderella this year, considering they're defending champions, but we'll see what happens. I'm really excited for a great baseball season.
And you said Medicine Hat, Okotoks, potential meeting in the final. That was the exact final in 2023, I believe. Thank you, James, who's to the far side of me, for being my statistician tonight, essentially. Plenty of bodies up here serving plenty of roles in the booth. And on the other side, it's an interesting setup here at Athletic Park. You got the play-by-play and the live stream booth on one end. On the other end, it's the PA, statistician, scorekeeper, social media runner. There's lots of members who make up this great booth just in several different departments.
Oh, nice poke.
Good hit through here by Johnny Volcano. And on a full count, the Mavs have runners on the corners. That's a big one for Volcano. You know, he comes back. This is the last hurrah. You want to start it off on a positive note.
No, absolutely. I was actually just chatting with one of my younger brothers. He actually made the trip in from Oyen tonight. There's a number of ex-Badlands Badgers on the team who have the academy in Oyen, so they're out here cheering on some of their ex-alumni, although they are on the bench tonight. We'll see if they get a chance to come in. But my brother was saying that this Medicine Hat Mavericks team looks strong this year, and he was saying particularly with a lot of vets coming back this year that they should be a great organization.
Well, and the Mavs Nova Scotia native, Jax Graham, he was at Badlands and chatted with him a day or two ago, and he said that part of the reason he came out here was because of a previous Badlands connection and friendship he had with Gary Dornan, who was here in 2025.
Absolutely. No, I heard Gary had a great year last year here as well. It's unfortunate he got injured towards the last half of the season this year and he couldn't come back, but I believe Gary is in Nova Scotia this year, back in his hometown, back on the rocks, I guess. I personally would rather probably be in Medicine Hat. You guys get the most sun out of anybody in Alberta, possibly Canada, I think. It's always a nice night down here at the park.
I like how you squiggled that in there. That is what Medicine Hat is allegedly known for, the sunniest city in Canada. So if you're making the trip up here, expect sun, but I know a lot of families over the years have talked about, we got up here and it just rained, which is not something we see often, but it's been the timing of their trips.
That is tough. Speaking of the Okotoks dogs earlier as well, I'm supposed to be in Okotoks on Saturday for one of their first home games, and it looks like there's going to be a lot of rain across Alberta. So I imagine Medicine Hat will stay out of it, as it sometimes does, but we'll see what happens this weekend.
We'll see what happens in this match between Hahn here and Eric Calder. Just the one out and runners on each end here for Medicine Hat. We'll look to continue to stack up this lead. 7 hits in the game. 3 runs, 1 error, 2 errors for Regina defensively, and just the 1 hit off of Derek Archer. And an arm warming up for Regina as well, right behind Hahn. It looks to be Jake Fowler who's down getting loose in the bullpen. Hahn receives the ball back, and we have a full count to Calder. Runner's going to go here, and Calder will walk his way down to first, so the sprint from Volcano wasn't needed, and the Mavs have filled them high for Jamel Chabot. Chabot with a hit earlier in this game, and it was a good one across the infield shale. And Rypathakis is going to go again to his bullpen. Not the best performance here for Chris Hahn in his WCBL debut, and he'll hand the ball over to Jake Fowler, who trots his way onto the diamond. And while we have a chance here, might as well talk. We mentioned Evan Morrison throughout this broadcast tonight, and we were talking about his ability in many different athletic departments. The home run hitting department might be his specialty in traits overall. Here's last season's home run leaders for the Mavericks. Morrison with 9 in total. Aaron Volcano, Tyler Vanesti, Micah Dvorak, no longer with the team, had 8, 7, and 5 apiece, and Carter Roth with 5 last year. We are yet to see one clear the fences tonight. Jake Fowler will.
The stage is set nicely.
Fowler with his first throw in here will tell you a little bit about the righty. 5'10" standing on the mounds. Went to Cerritos College. Sophomore there. And there's a couple of guys from Cerritos College on Regina. You hear certain names repeated throughout the year in the WCBL, and you know you're used to hearing Bellevue brought up many times, and of course Tabor is scattered throughout the league. And this year, I know when you talk about the Dogs, you're going to be talking about Tennessee State having, of course, the 2 big guys in Nash Kroll and Connor Croson. But I do think that no matter how many guys you have from those schools, it's always interesting to hear about a school that you've just never heard of and you can't locate anywhere on the map, and you got to pull out your phone and go, well, this town only has 17 people in it, or it only has 100 people, and then getting to speak to those players about a community that's unheard of and kind of unraveling what that place may be all about. That's very intriguing.
It is, and I honestly get that a lot from sponsors as well. As they ask me what the draw is to the WCBL for these players that play down in the United States, and what I tell them is that we're a premier collegiate baseball league that plays more games than almost any single collegiate summer league as well. We play a 56-game schedule, and the boys get to be in great weather up here in Alberta and Saskatchewan all summer long. Like, what better place could you be to go play baseball and get 56 games in?
What place would you rather be if you're Jamel Chabot? I can't think of anywhere else. Loaded bases, just 1 out, and a chance to really put Regina in a headlock. Here's Fowler's first pitch, and he's going to miss that one away. And Chabot, we talked about how stable and quiet he is behind the plate. At the plate, much the same. Fowler, the quick stare, and he misses to that spot twice. It's interesting, being down near the bullpen the last couple of days, I was listening to Mavs pitcher Davin Highnote talk about what his miss was, and pitching coach Andrew Bench said, is that your miss because it's your miss, or is that your comfortable miss? And he was like, that's a comfortable miss. I know I can miss there and get away with it and not have it get out of control. I feel safe in that spot. It seems for Fowler through 2 pitches here, just judging by his body language, that miss might not be as comfortable as some.
Oh, what a tough spot to come into to start your WCBL season as well. Bases juiced, 1 out, first game of the year. I wouldn't want to be there.
But if you can gut it out, that not only shows something to your teammates who you're going to be with through the year, but in this case, it keeps you right square in the game.
Absolutely.
Fowler, a long look here. Chabot stares right back at him. 3-1 the count, 1 out, bases loaded, and now it is a full count to Chabot. Maybe a bit of a strategic play there from Chabot. That pitch certainly hittable, but when you're in a scenario where if you walk, you can drive in another run and keep passing the baton, you usually take in that spot, and I can see the thinking from Jamel. Fowler. This one hits softly. It's going to be a tough play, and it falls in. 1 run in to score, 2 in. Now make it 3. The Mavericks have a 6-0 lead against the defending champs, and it's a bloop single to center for Jamel Chabot, who claims all 3 RBIs.
Great call on that. Just sitting back, waiting for it, and a nice little poke to the outfield. That's all you need to score 2 there.
Guess I'm getting ahead of myself. Only 2. Josh Stark with runners on the corners will return to the plate. His first at-bat, 3 consecutive swings. See what he comes up with this time. Fowler, the head nod, the pitch. And that one fouled off towards his family. Stark will take a walk. Josh Stark didn't have a ton of at-bats at college this year, and that makes him a guy you want to root for. Those guys that you don't know much about, that haven't gotten their chance, and they come into the WCBL. There's lots of those on both teams, and you cheer for them as the crowd will cheer for Stark here. He's got himself an RBI single, and it's his first hit in this league since 2022.
What a moment for the guy.
Already had the big catch earlier tonight, so doing it on both sides of the yard. And from one guy who didn't get much of a chance to another, Thomas Schnabel. Boy, Abilene Christian is probably wondering, why didn't we see him more this year, or at least the teams they played? But it's always tough at those levels. Those teams have so many guys, and everybody's just looking for their shot. It's fortunate that this league is a place where many can get that.
Absolutely. No, I was watching some highlights last night of some college baseball, and the teams are just so even down there. It doesn't matter if you're in the Big Ten, the SEC, or some Division I, Division II, JUCO colleges. All the guys are so evenly matched, and what separates the boys isn't very much. So it is great that we get to see a wide spray of the baseball players here in the WCBL. Another reason to come out to watch our boys.
Schnabel will take a strike there, and he knew it, judging by his body language. Nobody warming up behind Fowler, so he'll try and get out of this inning. We'll see what kind of leash he has. In a 6-0 game, it's unfortunate sometimes you can see a pitcher that's left out to dry, and they're forced to clean up the mess that they never even created. One-two count here to Schnabel. Schnabel fouls that one back, and it'll hit the top roof. One unique thing about Athletic Park, or at least where we're situated, is there's a awning right above us, and when a ball hits there, it's like thunder just above us.
And we're the only place with AC in the ballpark, so we can't complain.
Well, unless somebody brought their own AC, but
That is true.
I'm guessing there's no one out there that did that.
We don't know what the Starks have down there. Maybe the Starks have something.
Maybe. That's really fitting because I don't know if you know this, but they are a heating and plumbing company. Like that. That is really fitting.
I'm gonna say I knew that, and that's exactly why I said it.
You did too sharp, Noah. Too sharp.
What did I say about faking it until you make it earlier?
Yeah, I guess so. Here's Blake Dale. Not a lot of faking during his WCBL resume. You know what you get with a guy like him. He's going to work hard. He's going to be on time to the ballpark. He's going to hustle. And if there's something that just isn't right about his game, you know he's going to find a way to fix it. Although there haven't been a lot of holes for Dale, he's been ultra consistent over the last 2 seasons. That one right at the hands as he shrugs away. So a 2-0 count here to Dale. Still some base runners for Medicine Hat, but 2 outs. Just need one more here if you're Regina to keep this game, I wouldn't say close, but closer than what the outcome could be. We're going to sneak past the catcher and scrambling out to get it. Both base runners will advance. Pierre got on top of it, but not in time. Dale turning his head over towards Greg Morrison, who's over at third base. Morrison giving directions to Stark over at second. 3-0 count. Dale gonna wait. That's a strike from Fowler. Fowler, the long stare. This could be his first game working with Mateo Pierre. It's talked about that earlier tonight, that lots of these players aren't on the same page, and that one got Pierre right in the mask. And I believe he's going to call for a timeout here, take a second to get readjusted. Noah, you said you're a former catcher. Did you ever take one off the dome like that?
Oh, there's a couple of times when they come back at you right off the dome, and you see your manager on the bench, and he's trying to give you a thumbs up or ask you how you are, but all you're hearing is church bells in your ears. You don't hear anything. You just got to give him a thumbs up. Just get back at it, I guess.
What's more triggering, a ball being hit back into you or the bat coming in the backswing towards you?
Oh, I'd definitely say a ball. I would say I'd one-up it, though. I would rather take a ball to the dome than have a ball get directed down at me and hit me right on top of the thigh. That was the absolute worst-case scenario.
And Blake Dale goes down, and Regina escapes, but they do give up a few. 3 runs for the Mavericks as their lead now up to 6. And this game coming closer and closer to a close, and the Sun doing the same as it sets down here at Athletic Park. Before we send it off to another commercial break, would like to highlight a couple of relievers who we could see later in this game. One of those being Diego Centella on the Mavs side, a 3.44 ERA last year with 31 strikeouts. Appeared in 31 innings. He was old reliable for Medicine Hat. And how about Xander Udi Singer? He's really one of those leaders in the clubhouse for Regina. He's been a part of the team for many years, played some of his younger baseball in Regina as well. He had a 4.61 ERA, 17 strikeouts, 25 and 1 innings pitched. But all that doesn't matter to him. He's got some jewelry on his finger that he came away with last year. Those two potentially factors in this game as we go forward. We'll return to Derek Archer, who's still on the mound when we come back. top of the 7th inning, and just wanted to give one last thank you to both Ian Wilson and Noah for coming up here for the last couple of innings to introduce this WCBL season, give us a little bit more text of what's happening away from just this park. And now, pleasure to be joined with, again, James Tubb here in the booth for the last couple of innings.
Yeah, it was great to get to listen to Noah and Ian and, hear their sides of the league and, just share some context on, the Regina Red Sox and the league as a whole. And, it just kind of encapsulates what's been a really good game here tonight at Athletic Park.
And we've dabbled into Derek Archer a little bit, but we probably haven't given him all his roses. Seeing him for the first time, James, what has stood out to you about what he can do on the mound?
Yeah, he just seems like a constant, Truman, that there's consistency there. And, he has the one walk, and that's been it for tonight. He's got a 3-1 count now that he's trying to work back from. But it's what you expect from a senior, right? He's going to go at hitters, and he's going to do everything he can. He gets strike 2 there. So just what you want for an opening day start, or what you want from a senior. And, it's early in the season. It's the first game that's not even done yet. But if he can anchor the top of that rotation, that's a good starting point for the Mavs.
And often when you think about aces, and maybe this one's over into center field and the play will be made by Schnabel, but when you think about pitchers and what people have called aces or high level, they're these big, tall, lanky guys. Archer is the complete opposite, but just as effective. Not the tallest guy. His build is certainly not what we saw from Shoemaker coming out here, but he's almost a bit of a pit bull on the mound. He's aggressive. He trusts in his pitches, and his location has been precise.
Yes, and that's what you want, right? It doesn't matter, how tall you are, how big you are. It's just what you bring, and, he's really been bringing it tonight.
One out here, and he'll get Ty Martinez with a strike on that outside half of the plate. Archer fiddles around. That one out of the hand, and another one that ends up in the zone.
He's liked that tonight, and especially this inning, stealing strikes of just inside, and that goes credit to Jamel Chabot as well, stealing that inside pitch there to get ahead 0-2.
I can remember a conversation with Luis Diaz, a pitcher on the Mavs last year, as Archer tosses this to first for out number 2. And he said he loved working with Jamel Chabot, made the game easy, simplified the managing part of the game, and framed really, really well. And you mentioned it, James. He's doing the same here again tonight.
He is. He's really working it, and, managers will love to see that. He's had 2 outs now, right? 2 assists there in the infield. So PFP's worked out well in mini camp this week.
That one going to scrape across the side of the plate for a strike. First pitch strikes have also been a theme for Archer tonight. I was talking to Bob Faith, who's one of the host families who we'll get to have up here this year on the broadcast. We're hoping to have as many as possible, those that house the players and coaches who come into town. And he's a member of the Saskatchewan Baseball Hall of Fame, so he's got deep connections within the game. And he says when he gets here, his frustration sometimes with watching a freshman on the mound is the fact that not a lot is getting in the zone, and they're not pounding the strike zone as this one struck over into right field. But with Archer tonight, I'm sure he's not doing a whole lot of complaining. It has been spot on for number 40.
It has been. He's been working really effectively and staying in that zone. And a big part of that is not wasting pitches on balls. And, we're just now seeing some guys heading down towards the Mavs bullpen. So for Archer, it's been effectiveness. It's been, everything, consistency, what you want to see from that older guy. And he's up to 81 pitches now here, and in the 7th. That's those are good numbers, right? If you can get around a little over 10 pitches per inning, it's a good spot to be as a pitcher.
And the neat part for the fans now, those viewing at home, is who one of the Mavs relievers or closer be, as this is a throwdown and safe at second. There's been a few that have been right to the finish line, many probably needing video review. They've been so tight, and that another example, but Regina will get away with one here. It was awfully close. I believe the right call out there just because of how he was sliding away. So they'll have a runner in scoring position looking to get one back. Archer having to deal with a little bit of heat behind him. He's going to send that one high into the glove of Jamel Chabot, and Chabot will head out and check on his guy. What I was mentioning about the pen, James, is it's a guessing game. We don't know who's a closer. We don't know who's a reliever. You can hear that a guy might be, a shorter innings guy, but you still don't know where his place is. So your guess at home is as good as ours to who's up behind Archer if there is someone who comes in at some point.
It's a fun part of the early WCBL season is you get to see how players step up and take their roles. Who takes over as the closer, as the eighth inning guy, who can come in when it's runners on the corners, there's 1 out, 2 outs, and just, shut things down or limit the opportunities. So, that is something players get to step up and do, and I think that's something, Greg Morrison has long talked about that, he's built the team now. Now it's on the players to kind of show them who is going to slot in where and who's going to do what for them.
Archer will kick. Now he'll go back to second. A bouncer over to Blake Dale, and he corrals it. It's oftentimes a bit of a sketchy play when you turn away. Base runners always looking for some extra space to dart ahead. 2-0 the count here with 2 outs. Archer on the way. It's going to be low, and maybe running out of gas here is Archer on the mound.
He had started early. You mentioned there wasn't Regina runners getting to second, getting to third, and the last couple innings they've been pushing and getting runners in scoring position. Maybe that's wearing on a little high stress, some more high stress pitches, but he's been handling it well here as he tries to battle back and gets a strike here to stay in this at bat.
A 3-1 count now. You think about Andrew Bench. This is his first time as Mavs pitching coach. He's quite the phenomenal mind to talk to. He knows so much about the game and very advanced for the young age of 23. And just listening to him and being a sponge around that is very fun, as Archer will give out a walk here, and off to first base is Mateo Pierre. 2 on now for Regina. And heading out to the mound is Andrew Bench. He'll have a quick conversation with Derek Archer. Bench taking the reins over from Cesar Rodriguez, a former Mavs pitcher who was their pitching coach last season.
And you wonder if this is part of it to get in there, settle down for Archer, and then also, give the bullpen a little bit more time to warm up. And, I know talking to Greg Morrison earlier this week that this is Andrew Bench's staff. He gets to, right now with Ryan Reed gone, it's going to be kind of more on Andrew of who's coming in, who's coming out when. So it is, he gets to go out there, he talks to his starter and sees how he's doing. And now, we'll see how this continues here on with, runners on first and second, 2 out, 6-0 lead. It's a big enough cushion, but it can go away in a hurry, right? And, a team can put together hits here, and there is still, the rest of this inning and, the 8th and the 9th.
In golf, they say the tournament doesn't start till the back nine on Sunday. In baseball, the game really doesn't start till the 7th inning. Archer, 2 runners behind him. This one fouled up into the air. Too far for Morrison to head, clearing out near the bench, and I think maybe even clipping a Red Sox player down there in foul territory.
It was close. They were bailing out of that the bullpen as quick as they could.
A mad dash for those Red Sox, who nobody warming up, just enjoying the action, enjoying what is left of the sun out there as the lights across the outfield have come on. We've had problems in previous years with those lights. It's good to see that they've reacted well and are regenerated for a new year. Archer gets a pop-up here again. This one must have landed behind us. Didn't hear the thump on the roof as Will Togger took it far behind.
For fans watching, you see the layout of the diamond, and I don't know, Truman, if you said this before I got on, originally designed for the Oakland Athletics farm team. So it models the old Oakland Coliseum. They only played here one season, and then, the Baby Jays, the Blue Jays farm team took over. So it's very familiar to that old stadium in Oakland.
And I'm sure many MLB players that you've heard of before played in this park if they were former Jays. I'm going to go to David Wells because I'm a Yankees guy, but he, one of many who donned the mound here. Archer, the stare down with the Garden City Community College product in Will Toger. Archer's going to miss. Count will run to 2-2. Speaking about those lights lit up behind Archer here, you'll notice throughout the year there's birds that fly out of those, and those are the baby sprays, as we call them. They inspired the jerseys, and they're often looming during night games. Long wait here for Archer. Here comes the pitch, and it's awfully close, but they're going to rule that it is just off.
This is where that senior arm gets to bear down. He's likely done, whether it's this batter, this inning probably for sure, getting up into the 90 pitches. This is where full count, 2 outs, 2 runners on. You get to show what you're kind of made of and, try to get a strike here, get out of this inning and, preserve the outing that you've had.
Here's the pitch. This one's sent over into center field. And now it's going to drift over into right. Stark is going to make the play. And as the lights turn on here in Medicine Hat, Derek Archer shines bright. Lots of bodies behind him, but he makes it work. And that will likely do it for his WCBL debut. And what a dandy. Mavs still up by 6. A 0 still on the board for the Red Sox. Getting out of the jam is Derek Archer. A fresh inning for the Mavs. Is leading it off is Evan Morrison. Morrison, probably not the opening day that he expected, but he just wants to win at this point. That was one of the things he mentioned to start the year. Of course, everybody's looking to develop, but he wants to bring a championship back home.
He does, and I know talking to him as well, Truman, he wants to lead this team. So whether that's moving guys across, home runs, right? That is the big thing we talk about with Evan Morrison, but just doing the right things. And we've seen that at first base tonight from him. So, that's hasn't got the hits he's wanted tonight, but, he's getting the result he wants with the Mavs up here 6-0.
And I love this quote from his head coach this year, assistant coach last year, and Ryan Reed, saying, if I just had a little more time to work with Evan Morrison, like, he's got so much potential. Like, you watch him up there, he's got all the tools, and once he puts it together, it's going to be something pretty. And Morrison, patient this time at the plate, works himself a leadoff walk.
And sneaky. You've talked all night about this football build for Evan Morrison. Kind of has some speed. It is a little sneaky of, how quick he can move with his big frame. And, we'll see whether he gets moving in front here or with Carter Roth behind him, a dangerous bat, or, just kind of how the Mavs handle this. But it's a good leadoff runner on there with Evan Morrison.
Yeah, Morrison, underrated speed. Mentioned that tight end sort of thing. If you've ever watched George Kittle, and this might be far-fetched for those where NFL is very foreign, that is how Evan Morrison runs. Powerful and gets down in the dirty areas, moves really seamlessly, and not afraid to jump out and steal a base every once in a while when needed. Ball's going to be low here from Jake Fowler. Brought in the last inning. Chris Hahn didn't fare too well, and Fowler was placed on the mound. Doesn't look like he's going to be removed with nobody warming up. He's been missing on that outer half of the plate, just pulling the ball a little too much.
You know, whether that's nerves or, as you alluded to last inning, maybe he likes staying on that outside. That's where he feels comfortable, and you know he's really hitting that against righties.
Roth going to pop this up on a 2-1 count. Could be a tricky play here, but Simard, the veteran, comes down with it. Roth will collect his bat, head back to the dugout, and that will allow us a chance to introduce Carson Chan back up to home plate. Just the one out for the Mavs. Looming behind Chan will be Johnny Volcano on deck and Eric Calder in the hole. Of course, the Mavs could always make substitutions, and although not all of their guys are here yet, which many teams are experiencing, they do have some flexibility with a guy like Adam Volcano who can play all over the diamond.
The only thing I haven't seen him do yet, Truman, is catch, and I'm sure he could. You know, I'm sure he would get behind there, strap on the pads, and, you know, he would try to frame as best as he can. But, you know, he is a utility player, Swiss Army knife, whatever you want to call it, you know, for Greg Morrison here tonight and Ryan Reed for the season.
And I could be wrong on this, so somebody who knows the Volcanos well can fact check me, but I'm pretty sure I heard someone say that Aaron Volcano had caught previously when he was here last year, and that he might have been an option at one point. So it's not far-fetched to say that Adam could do the same.
I don't think there's anything the Volcano family can't do. You know, there's a lot of sport talent there, and, you know, we've seen that now with Johnny entering his 4th season. Adam also sneaky being around for 4 summers here with the Mavs, or entering his 4th. So, you know, there's a lot of talent in that family.
And we talked about the musical talent earlier in this show as well. A family band, which is so unique. Not only is there lots of siblings in the family, but they all get along and they all enjoy similar things.
That's pretty special, right? You get to share everything as a family as they do, and you know it's been nice that they've been able to display that here in Medicine Hat.
0-2 count here to Carson Chan. Evan Morrison still over at first base in the running lane. That one going to bounce off the dish and collected there by Mateo Pierre. It'll be interesting to see where Pierre is put throughout the year for Regina. We talk about that Adam Volcano can be placed all around the diamond. And with an overabundance of catchers for Regina, Daniel Castellanos, Rhett Hodgins, and Brady Bai, who's at third base tonight, it'll be interesting to see what kind of role he carves out.
You know, and that's something for these players to develop, that versatility, right? And colleges would like that, and, you know, if they can, pro teams like that, right? And that a player can do anything and do it well. So no really better time to practice that and develop that. You know, if they don't get that opportunity in college, the summer gives them a good option here with that in the WCBL.
1-2 count to Chan. Fowler delays, and that one is going to get in the dirt. A mad dash there for Mateo Pierre. He'll recover in time and keep Morrison at bay. Chan back into the batter's box. And once again, that back foot as far back as you can put it.
There's been a lot of guys dancing that the white line there and, you know, working the chalk away. And, you know, it doesn't hurt to get as much time as you can to react to a pitch and get the bat to it.
And a swing and a miss there for Chan as he's down on strikes. Johnny Volcano will head towards the plate with Chan heading back to the dugout. And I think that's something that will change during the year, James, depending on what players may be struggling or fixing certain things. You'll see them move back and forth between the batter's box.
It's little adjustments, right? In a game of inches that baseball is, it's anything, right? To change it up, to give yourself new looks or better looks, to, you know, to find success in times when things aren't going well. And, when things are going well for a hitter, just they change nothing. Everything has to stay the same.
It's almost superstitious, but it's also calculated at the same time, which is something that you don't see in a lot of other sports. Of course, all athletes are superstitious, but especially in baseball, there's this fixation on doing things routinely, and if it's working, as you mentioned, just not stopping with what's going right.
I think and that's a big part of because of how hard of a sport it is, right? It's a ball and a stick, right? And it's hard to square that up and do what you want.
And Volcano down on strikes, 3 consecutive pitches for Fowler to get him. And talk about the game being hard. That one tough to swallow there for Volcano, and showing why this game can be so tough. You can be hitting home runs one moment and then staring at 3 pitches the next. But the Mavericks, the night has gone their way as they still lead by a wide margin. And want to thank James Tubb for being up here with me tonight, and I'm sure we'll get to hear from him a lot during this WCBL season. This just the beginning, but a pleasure having you again, James.
Thanks, Truman. Looking forward to it all year.
We'll be back with another inning of baseball. There's a new arm warming up on the mound for Medicine Hat. The first pitching change of the season for the red and white. We'll get a look at who this is here in a moment, but it looks to be Trevor Sire. Sire spent the 2024 season partially with the Fort McMurray Giants way up north. And he mentioned the travel schedule, not pretty for the Fort Mac Giants, who will come down here this year. When Sire was a part of the Giants, they also made their way to Athletic Park, and they took 2 games off of the Mavericks over the weekend series. Sire looking to bring that winningness that he provided at times with Fort Mac here to Medicine Hat. And he's got a very close connection with Nate King, who he's developed a friendship with. 2 Ontario boys, both went to Kankakee Community College. And Sire, that was the first thing he mentioned when he got in, the chance to play with a longtime friend in King again. That was on the front of his mind. But here tonight, the first thing on his mind is getting through this inning and hopefully getting the Mavs out of this game with a win. So the first look at Trevor Sire, and the first batter he will look at is Alex Roux. Roux in left field tonight. Sire with Chabot behind the plate, so he'll have to wait a little bit longer before he plays catch with King again. That's no slight against Chabot, who we've explained a lot, has had a very, very solid night. First pitch from Sire's a ball. Now he ties things up with a strike. It's a 1-1 even count. Sire. Ooh, a beautiful floater as that one drops in there for a strike, and it's 1-2. This game flying by so quickly that the sun hasn't had a chance to set. Been talking about it for the last couple of innings, that time where this game will be played in the dark. It's coming soon, and it hasn't arrived. Sire hoping that his first strikeout of the season comes by, but not given the call there. This count will be 2-2. Sire jab steps, and this one is going to be roped just foul. Speaking of jab steps, a former AAU basketball player was Sire, and there is some game tape on YouTube. An impressive young basketball player, but known for what he can do on the mound, and in this case, known for what he can do as a reliever. Sire sets, ready to deal. Here comes the pitch and a swing and a miss, and you can see that. A little bit of emotion there from Sire. Of course, all positive as he gets his first K of the 26th season. So Sire through Rue, and now he'll venture up to the top of the order. He'll see Mason Cantor and Justin Simard. Bat Boy delivering the goods over to our home plate umpire. And now Cantor will get the call to the batter's box. Sire steps forth, and he's going to pin a strike to the plate. Mentioned with Derek Archer, starting players off with one strike. That's how he got into his rhythm, and it seems like Trevor Sire offers a bit of that as well. Sire, that one high and outside, leaving the count at 1. Just a reminder that stats from this game can be found on the Ball Clubs app, the newest stats keeper of the WCBL, and it's going to take some time to get that all equated to our official WCBL website, so hold your horses, hold tight. Eventually all of that will be integrated into the main page, but for now that's the place where you can find all the numbers, all the box scores, and if you can't get to the stream and just want to follow along numbers-wise, that's the place to do so. Big part of the reason to why Ball Clubs has been integrated is, one, it's advanced technology and it's the way of the future stats-wise, but Point Streak, the former keeper of the cards for the WCBL numbers, no longer will be a part of the WCBL, and actually for a long time statistical provider, they won't be around anymore. An interesting changing of the hands within the stats world. We see that within the streaming world as well, but just always things upgrading and new systems being brought upon. And of course, then there's transitions made by leagues just like the WCBL. This one pelted, jumping up in the air is Blake Dale. He loses the sunglasses, but he didn't need them. A star in the night sky as Blake Dale comes down with out number 2. Justin Simard, the righty batter with the red cleats. We'll see Sire for the first time this year. Sire hurls that one low. Good block by Chabot, but with nobody on the base path, it's not too much of a problem. And that has been Medicine Hat's bread and butter tonight, limiting the amount of base runners. It was just the one inning and that an inning ago with Archer where things got a little bit hectic, but he was able to twist the tides the other way and get the Mavs into clear territory. Is this into foul territory? Too far for Morrison to catch up. And as we mentioned, when James was on, a guy that moves really, really quickly, and if he can't get to it, you know it's quite out of reach. A 1-1 count here to Simard. A calm crowd tonight. There have been moments where they've been able to jump up and get energized. But with the game progressing the way that it has, can't say it's been a tightly contested affair, but it's made watching easy for those supporting the Mavericks. Been a tougher night for those in Regina red and blue. Sire. This one going to be clubbed over into right center. Stark on his way, trying to track it in the dark, and it's going to be caught at the wall. And maybe not. They're going to throw it into third here. You could see Schnabel was raising his hands up in the air as if he had it, and they're going to say that he did have it. So the initial call was correct. There was no signal from the umpire till later, but I think he got it right. Stark was initially running towards it. It was Schnabel who took over, and he made the play right at the boundary line. My, oh my, Thomas Schnabel. What a debut defensively. The range, impeccable. And that leads us into the bottom of the 8th. Not much to be said to Rai Pathakis. He pleads his case from the dugout, but the umpires will conference here to make sure that they get this call right. So we'll stick around till they find a solution and, of course, more importantly, an answer to what could be quite the conundrum. It's already tough to see out there right now, and the official ruling isn't out. Rai Pathakis will get in a word here with the umpire, and there is some frustration, a little bit of pointing for Rai Pathakis, who's quite level-headed in the WCBL. We see some reactions from time to time, but Rai has never been one to go too crazy with his reactions over the years. A true pro is Pathakis, and he'll head back to the dugout without any discipline being put on, and rightfully so. So we'll get a quick word from Flow Sports, and we'll be back with the bottom of the 8th inning. Mavs bats coming to the plate. We change over to the bottom of the 8th inning here in Alberta. And, you know, there's always changes. Players change, rosters change, jerseys change, even team locations sometimes change. But one thing that has stayed constant for the Medicine Mavericks is Town Place Suites, the official hotel of the Mavericks Ball Club. If you're staying in town, of course, there's a Town Place Suites right here in Medicine Hat, and you can find them at many destinations across the WCBL. Now we'll take it down to home plate, and Eric Calder is in with a ball and a strike to his name here. Still up on the mound is Jake Fowler. He's been holding things steady since he entered the game. Now he stares towards Calder at the dish. That one far away from the plate. Originally pulling the ball was Fowler, but he seems to have leveled things out a bit now, and it's treated him well in the back half of his appearance. Calder 2 1s, 2 hits, and a walk tonight in his 3 plate appearances. 2-2 to Calder. Talked about the Ontario natives and Trevor Sire and Nate King on the Mavericks. Another one here in Eric Calder from Oakville. And if you've ever been down in the Oakville area, there's lots of beautiful scenery, but the thing that is the most beautiful, especially to a golfer's eye, is Glen Abbey Golf Course. And Glen Abbey, I've had the privilege of going there myself. The former host of the Canadian Open, our National Open in the PGA. Back to Calder on the mound. Or at the dish, rather. Fowler on the mound, and called strike 3 there. A toss of the bat from Calder. He thought he was bound for first base. Instead, he will trudge back to the dugout. Jamel Chabot. Same walk-up song as last year. Homecoming by Kanye West and Chris Martin, of course, of famous band Coldplay. And Chabot, it's been a homecoming for him, not directly from Medicine Hat. He's from Chinny, Washington down in the States, but made this his home last summer. And they say home is where the heart is. Home is where a great performance has been for Chabot here in 26 in the home opener. Chabot flares this one off towards short. One bounce. Cantor delivers to first. And that will be out number 2. There's something about when the Mavericks that when they play at home, it's a bit different. There's home field advantages. One certainly felt in Sylvan Lake. People raving about the park and the fan base out there, how much it has grown. Okotoks, as we've alluded to many times tonight, the developing fan base of the Saskatoon Berries, the new kids on the block, not so new anymore as they've now been in the league for 3 years. Feels like just yesterday they were being integrated. But Medicine Hat, there's something special about playing near this berm, near the South Saskatchewan, under the lights, in a city that just loves their ball and has a deep-rooted history. And we talked about Stark's deep connection, some of his siblings being on this team in years past. The same can certainly be said for Regina. Here's Fowler, and that one gonna miss. And I think the biggest thing with Regina is the players that come back to play each year. You see many of the same names on this roster, and when they're not playing, they're in the dugout. We talked about Jackson Alanes and Zane Paulin in the first couple of innings of today's game. But a name we forgot to mention, and maybe the most standoutish name of them all, is Mitch McDonald, the only player in WCBL history to win a Triple Crown, doing so with the Regina Red Sox, and now he's in a coaching role. Stark takes that pitch. It's 2-2. Bases are empty. 2 outs. Regardless of how this plate appearance goes, you know Stark's going to be feeling good after a couple good plays in the outfield and even a key hit that rolled its way into left. Setting up here is Fowler, and he gets Stark to lunge. And that will do it for the bottom of the 8th inning. One more to play here at Athletic Park, unless Regina can come up with a fairy tale. They had one en route to the finals last year. Do they have anything left? That's the biggest question. So far, it's been all Mavs, and they look to continue to keep it that way when we're back. Just one inning for Trevor Sire, but it was a good one in his Maverick debut. Now doing the same and looking to have the same results as Davin Hinote, the Kansas Wesleyan product. He's one of 2 on the current roster, or at least at this game from there. Caden Shivers the other. And a couple more throws coming in here. Just one more as the umpire shines out towards the crowd for Hinote before he looks to come in and wrap this thing up. What a spot for him. He's got a healthy lead behind him, but you just never know with these Red Sox. They're quite pesky. And I do want to mention we oftentimes on this broadcast give updates to other scores or things that are happening around the WCBL. And unfortunately, due to the stats system that we've talked about a lot tonight, our webpage doesn't have the ability to get some of those scores through. So I'll try to get you them as best as I can right now so you can keep tabs on what's happening around this great league. But it will be trickier than usual. Our typical system for finding it is obviously not in play, and moving around this Ball Clubs app, I'm still trying to figure it out myself. And obviously, as the season goes on and players start to get into their groove, we will up here as well. But a full slate tonight. Lots of games being played around the league. So even without scores, of course, the biggest matchup probably of the night, at least for name's sake, is the Okotoks Dogs and Sylvan Lake Gulls, which is being played. Moose Jaw was in Swift Current tonight. Saskatoon in Weyburn. Brooks and Lethbridge had a bout. So Fort Mac and Energy City, those two getting the night off. But the rest of those games being played. So if you're able to acquire those scores, and I'm not sure how you would, your best bet might be by pigeon, and that might take a while. Let me know, because I'd be curious to know what's happening around the league tonight, as there's a swing and a miss. Speedy upstairs from High Note. Two High Note, and that one is going to be high. So Tafoya will wait off here, and now he's got a full count. High Note looking for one more. That first out, always important in the ninth inning. And a beautiful throw there from High Note, who stripes that one in the lower left-hand corner from his perspective, lower right from our vantage point here behind the plate. And one out. High Note will now see Brady by. Brady by, we've talked about it. You think of complete players in the WCBL, his name one of the first that comes to mind. High Note will step back on the rubber. First pitch to By was a ball. By 0 for 3 tonight. It's been a rare off night as he is behind on that one. Fast and up high. That's been High Note's name to the game here. High Note, a quick conversation with the umpire. And that's what you get from High Note. He's maybe not the most talkative guy, but he's very lively, upbeat, seems to have a good head on his shoulders. Now he's got a 1-1 count here against Brady By. By letting that one roll under the armpit, and it'll be a 2-1 count. High Note working fairly quickly on the mound. And firing that one and putting it through is Brady By. I couldn't imagine a night where By didn't at least pick up one hit, and he does so here in the back half of the game, ninth inning. And if there is a rally, By has at least planted the seed for the Red Sox. Ty Martinez, another guy who hasn't picked up a hit tonight, 0 for 3 at the plate. By likely not a threat to steal here. Morrison following his every step. First pitch is a ball from High Note. Nobody warming up behind him. And the Red Sox anticipating that this could be it. You don't have anybody warming up either, so if we do get to another inning, it'll probably be Jake Fowler. And a swing and a miss there on the delivery from High Note to Martinez. High Note, quick shoulder check. Stands tall. strides forth, and that one got away from him. Chabot there to keep it in play, keep it in front of him more so. Talked about all that room behind the catcher and that's not typical at many parks. One of the other things that stood out to many pitchers coming in here is the flat mound and the adjustment that can be at their colleges. Oftentimes, it's a turf mound and it's up a bit more. You're throwing downstream. Here, it's pretty much straight across. High note in a bout here with Martinez. The count is 3-1. High note high and a walk here to Martinez. So things getting a bit interesting with runners on the bases here for the Regina Red Sox. Martinez over at first, Brady By over at second, and a conversation to be had between Chabot and High note. Rain Krakowitz, he's the next man up for Regina. A couple of words with the umpire. I'm sure there are only kind words down there from Krakowitz. Now being sent back behind the plate is Chabot. Quick spit here for High note, who will circle around the mound. And pointing towards first base is the home plate umpire. I'm not sure exactly what has been deemed here. There was an emphatic point towards first base. I'm not sure what that was completely about. Umpire signaling we're all good to go. Points over towards High note, and now he'll stare down at Krakowitz. Krakowitz had to hop out of the way, and that ball takes a jump all the way to the backstop, and maybe not two bases like we mentioned there was potential for earlier, but it'll be one base ahead for each By and Ty Martinez. Line across the plate here for Krakowitz. High note. A slow sway on the mound. 1-0 the count. Second pitch of the at-bat, and it's fouled off towards the net. Still nothing over the fence tonight. And we might get done this game before the sun sets here. Of course, Regina would like one to go long. They can keep us playing. High note, going to miss inside this time. High note will quickly tip his cap. Krakowitz waiting on the pitch. Waiting behind him on deck, Mateo Pierre, and that ball into the dirt, and there is some action in the Mavs bullpen now. See if we can get a number and then match a name with the number of the member down there warming up. Looks to be a 4. It's a tough view from up here in the booth, and we don't have cameras that directly can see down there, so it's always a bit of a guessing game. There's some fun in it, of course. And now a high pitch and a walk to Krakowitz. Andrew Bench, a quick discussion with Greg Morrison down below. Both of them will stay put, and the bases are loaded here. I'm sure if it was a closer game, there'd be a talk with High note. Maybe even a change on the mound, but High note going to stick in there now, and of course you don't want to jump the gun or make a knee-jerk reaction. This is just the beginning of High note's WCBL career. High note rifles that one high, and another one that misses the zone. He'll start behind in this count. He's got Will Togger at the plate. Bases loaded here for Regina. They trail by 6. just 3 hits on the night. And there's one that catches plate for high note. The fans will give a clap, try and bring some confidence to their young pitcher. High note will stare down towards his shoes. And now he'll send one. Ground ball. This could be it, and it's under the glove of Johnny Volcano. 1 run will score. A second will come in, so Bai is in first. Martinez just behind, and it is now a 6-2 ball game with runners on the corners and just the 1 out. Volcano got to be frustrated with that to end his night. Still could have an opportunity to redeem himself there if one is hit towards him. And knowing the Athletic Park shale, it oftentimes gets very dry. And when the heat is out, it can provide some bounces just like that, some odd hops. And Jeff Morrison, who's the lead groundskeeper here and brother of Greg Morrison, always trying to keep the diamond in tip-top shape, and it always seems to live up to the task. But keeping it wet, that's always been a big challenge that Jeff has talked about. Count here, 1-0. High note still on the mound with the 1 out. This one going to be stung over into right field, and another run comes in for Regina. It's now 6-3, and the tying run comes to the plate. Wow, has this game changed in just the matter of minutes? High note, a slow walk to the mound, and now a walk out to greet him as Andrew Bench is out of the dugout, and he's going to call for the bullpen to be activated, and there's going to be a new pitcher coming into the game. High note will not get to finish the top of the 9th with runners at his back. Those runners, of course, will belong to him statistically. Be Alex Rue, who's already had a big hit in this game. Obviously didn't turn into any runs for Regina, but he's capable. He'll be up next. Mavericks with a run in the first, 2 in the 5th, 3 in the 6th. And that has us where we're at now. Regina, all 3 runs in the 9th. That famous line, ball game really only starts in the 7th. That's proving true right now, but it's still within the Mavs' control, and that's one thing for those rooting from the Mavs side of things that they'll keep in mind. But there's a spark for Regina, and a team that was full of sparks last year. You know they can provide such. Lots of new names in the batting lineup tonight, but if they get back up to the top of the order, a guy like Justin Simard, who's seen a lot in this league and been a part of some big games, might just have a chance to deliver something out of this world. And Brant Spencer, an affiliate pitcher for the Medicine Hat Mavericks, is the guy they're going to call on here in the top of the 9th inning. Spencer spent last season as an AP player for the Swift Current 57s. Mentioned that movement that players have within the league, and it's always interesting to see where a player might go next. Spencer, an example of that for the Mavericks. He's one of 2. It's him and Sire, who we've both seen in this game, who have played for other WCBL teams in years past, at least in the pitching department. So Spencer's job, it's easier said than done. Find a way to get 2 outs. A ground ball over towards short, and that could do it. Even a ground ball towards third. Think about could be a 5-4 double play or a 5-6. That would get the job done. Quick note made between Spencer and Chabot. And if there's a guy you want catching for you in this moment as a young pitcher, it is Jamel Chabot behind the plate. Both catchers that are here with the Mavs right now that were here prior. Givers of confidence for both Chabot and Nate King. They are their pitcher's biggest fans. So So 1 out. Spencer's debut as a Maverick. First one ripped down the third base line, and this might have enough to score 2. A long run all the way over for Chan. He's going to hurl it in, and taking that one in the glove is Carter Roth near third base, and it's now a 6-4 ball game. So tying run sits over at second base. Can you believe it? A stunned crowd here in Medicine Hat. They thought the game was all sealed, and it was all but sealed. Is now up to bat the leadoff hitter tonight, Mason Cantor, in at shortstop. And the free out at second, not there. The Mavericks will almost take one at first. They're just worried about that runner at second. And, of course, they don't want to give anything up bigger to Cantor at the plate. Pitch is going to miss. This is one of those situations where giving up a walk isn't the worst thing. Obviously not ideal, but there is space over at first base. Spencer misses high. Spencer, we talked about Badlands Academy. Lots of alumni throughout the WCBL, and Spencer, one of those. He spent his high school year there this season. 2-0 the count. Now 3-0 the count. A 4-run ninth inning for the Red Sox. A chance to tie it up. A base hit could do so. Spencer. It's going to be a walk to Mason Cantor. And now Justin Simard. Waiting behind him is Mason Tafoya. This is the meat of the order here for the Regina Red Sox. If we get to Brady by, he's just downstream. He'll be 2 batters away. Spencer. High pitch is going to miss. 1-0. A 4-run inning for Regina. And there's a strike for Spencer as he gets reacquainted with the zone. Just want to give an apology. I can see that there's a spider currently on the camera. As there's a swing and a miss by Brant Spencer or by Justin Simard, courtesy of Brant Spencer, and spider was swung away right on cue. Good work to get back in the count for the youngster here. Here comes Spencer, a low one, and snapping to it was Chabot. Two the count with 1 out. Not the defending champs for nothing are the Regina Red Sox. Simard, a part of that group. Does he have a big moment in him? Here's Spencer. And this one is fouled off. Jumping right to it was Simard. He couldn't make clear contact, but he stays alive. Spencer, the long stare down. Bases loaded right behind him. Here it comes. And he got him looking. Simard knows the zone well. He disagreed with the call. A gigantic out for Brant Spencer, and the Mavs are 1 away from taking their home opener. But still a valley to get through here for Medicine Hat and Brant Spencer. Bases, they're still piled full. And now it is the number 3 hitter, Mason Tafoya. First pitch, crowd disagreed with it. Looked a little bit high, the right call there, at least from this vantage point. It'll be ball 1 to Tafoya. Spencer gathers. And that one will miss outside, so it's 2-0. Brady Bye waiting on deck. Be Bye's second at bat of the inning. Awfully close, and the call doesn't lean Spencer's way. The clock says 3-0. I believe that it's 2-1. We'll see the official ruling here from the umpire. Spencer. And that one's in the dirt, so a walk means a run comes in to score. It is 6-5. A stunned Athletic Park crowd. They can't believe what they've seen. A 6-0 lead coming into the top of the ninth. And they had one out at one point. Since that point, 5 runs for the Red Sox, just 1 out for Medicine Hat. One strike on Brady Bye. Known as a clutch player in the WCBL, was clutch in his last appearance here at Athletic Park during the postseason. Bases are full. Bye is going to swing and miss. So the Red Sox down to their final strike. Boy, the game wasn't dramatic for 8 innings, and it's all coming out here right in the last. But I don't think anybody's going to argue. 0-2. Spencer on the mound, Bye at the plate. Here it comes. This one's going to be poked off. And a long way to go for Chan. He loses it, and he drops it. The Red Sox are going to score 1. They're going to score 2. The bases are cleared, and Regina has the lead. Oh, my. What a turn of events. Carson Chan in left was mere inches away from icing the game, and instead Regina jumps into the lead for the first time in this ball game. It is 8-6 for the Red Sox, an absolute stunner. Probably not even the best work at the plate from Brady Bye, but some players just find a way. Here's a blooper over towards Blake Dale. He'll track it, he'll grab it. And some frustration being seen there from number 5 and the rest of his crew. Regina, they were down to their final strike, and they nearly had their game ended by a play in left field. Instead, it drops, and they have a 2-run lead going into the bottom of the ninth. It's Medicine Hat playing catch-up. This is what you watch for, folks. The intensity of the game, the drama that comes with it. Wow. That's all you can say. We'll be back for the bottom of the ninth with the Mavericks in an unusual spot. I don't think anybody in this stadium, and maybe even watching, would have believed that we would have seen a bottom of the ninth tonight. But here we are. The Mavericks are at the top of their order as Schnabel will play this one out of play. And the Mavs now down to their final 3 outs. A role reversal, and a dramatic one at that, taking place in the top of the ninth inning. Here's Fowler. He's still in the game. A pop-up here from Schnabel. Ball getting nearly lost in the lights again, but the play's made over in right field by Krekowetz. First out. Fairly simple for Regina. Some veterans coming up for Medicine Hat. Blake Dale at the plate. Evan Morrison will be on deck, and if we get to Carter Roth, he'll follow after. Fowler. I don't think he would have believed that he would have been coming back out onto the mound. A head shake there as he just has that one miss. And there's a pitcher warming up behind him now. Regina possibly preparing for extra innings. And if we get to that point, of course, the situation changes a bit. There will be a runner at second, just like in the majors. 2-0 count here to Blake Dale for the Mavericks. They need base runners. The opposite for Regina. They want to keep the base path clean, make this a seamless outing. Dale plunges this one over towards right, and Krekowetz is there again, and Medicine Hat down to their final out. Evan Morrison, the last hope here for Medicine Hat. If he gets on, Carter Roth on deck. Jake Fowler has downed the first two batters he's seen, and Krekowetz, a big part of that over in right field as rain has brought down the last two fly balls in his direction. Beautiful sunset over top of the park here. That blue and orange colliding, and a nice little purple highlight behind the berm. 1-1 count to Morrison. That one high to Morrison, and a patient approach here from the lefty. Morrison walked in his last at-bat. That low to Morrison now 3-1. It becomes an interesting plot line here for those returners on Medicine Hat. For those who haven't experienced it before or were in the lineup last year, it'll be a bit different. But you lose to Regina in the postseason last year. You had an interesting record against them in the regular season as Morrison will swing and miss. And then you have, from their vantage point, a collapse here tonight. You almost feel like it's the thorn in your side, and the Red Sox have total control over you. But still one more to get as Morrison will foul off the offering from Fowler, who's looks like he's dealing with the bugs down there, swatting the air with his hand. Fowler, one more strike to get, full count to Morrison. Here's the pitch, it's high, and Morrison will take first base. So Medicine Hat remains intact with their best batter from last season in Carter Roth, heading up towards home plate. Behind Roth is Carson Chan, who I'm sure would like to get a little bit of revenge after that last play that he encountered in left field with the ball slipping through his hands. 2 outs, one on here. Roth stares down Fowler. Roth, first pitch he sees is a strike, and that's a good start for Fowler. Couple twirls of the bat here for Roth, very composed at the plate. A contact hitter, but there is a little bit of jump in there. Mentioned he hit 5 homers last year. Roth's going to pop this one up. Could be a trickier play than advertised. And that ball is going to get lost, and it is going to get caught, I believe. An interesting reaction at the end, and the Red Sox take a wild game, 8-6, all 8 runs coming in the top of the 9th for the defending champions as they shock the home Medicine Hat crowd on the road and open up their season on the winning side, 1-0 for the Mavericks. A tough one to swallow. You outplayed Regina for a majority of the game. You get a unreal performance from Derek Archer in his WCBL debut in the biggest crowd that he's pitched in front of, according to him, and you still end up going down. You did everything right except finish the job in the last, and that's a tough pill to swallow always, but there's still plenty of season to be played for both these teams, and it'll be interesting to see how it all unravels. But before we get to the end of this and we send you on your way, a chance to recap this game. It was Thomas Schnabel who came across the score in the first. It was an RBI from Blake Dale on the fielder's choice. And then after that, 2 more runs put on by Medicine Hat in the 5th inning. 6th inning, they'd add 3 more, had a controlling lead. Archer left the game after getting out of a bases-loaded jam in the 7th. 8th inning was smooth sailing on both sides. And then it was that 9th, the Mavericks using 2 different pitchers. They used Trevor Sire in the 8th, Davin Highnote in the 9th, Brant Spencer in the 9th, and could not come away with the win despite leading for the entire game. It is a 8-6 Regina Red Sox win, your final score here from Athletic Park on opening day in the WCBL. As we send you on your way, we will be back here on Monday the 1st as the Swift Current 57s come into town. The Mavericks will play Regina on the road for 2 at their place and Brooks for 1 tomorrow. Till then, my name is Truman Bartman. Want to once again thank our guests tonight, James Tubb, Noah Rollheiser, and Ian Wilson, all integral parts of the WCBL, for joining me on this first of the year. And happy 2026 summer season to all of you out there, as the first has gone by and we got lots more to play. 27 more here at home, 55 more in total for both these teams, and it'll be interesting to see what comes of it all. We will be back with you on Monday night. My name is Truman Bartman. As always, take care, everyone, and we will see you again soon.